Good morning, everyone. It's good to see you again. Hi, it's me. I'm tired. I slept decently well last night, but you know, I'm the kind of person where a bad night's sleep will knock me out for like a week because I don't sleep well enough to recover from it. So even though I slept well last night, I'm still kind of tired. And by slept well, I mean like I got to bed. Well, I got to sleep by around 11, and woke up at like. Well, Pokemon Sleep says I woke up earlier, but in terms of when I checked my phone, when I was conscious enough to check my phone, it was around 6. I don't think a lot of people would refer to waking up at 6 a.m. on a Sunday to be, you know, sleeping well, but it's well enough by my standards. But my standards are low. Anyway, I am conscious. Actually, I should get a heckin' throat lozenge because we're gonna do more Ace Attorney today. I will go get that. And we'll be right back. Throat lozenge obtained, so we can have that like halfway through the stream or something. Also, the weather's in a really awkward like middle ground at the moment. Where it's like, if I'm just wearing a t-shirt, then you know, it's getting a bit cool. But if I have a jumper on, then it's way too warm. That's also partially why I've had so much trouble sleeping over the past week. Because the temperature doesn't know what it wants to do. Just go full, if you're gonna go summer mode, just go full summer mode. Hurry up. Anyway, started a bit late, because I needed some time to properly wake up. But I think we're close enough to the end of Chapter 2 that we can probably just finish it off today. And depending on how long that takes, we might start Chapter 3. Potentially. I wouldn't hold my breath, though. Anyway, let's get into it, shall we? We got stuff to play. Let's continue with Ladder Confrontation Rocco Casareto. Let's hear this testimony that we ended off on last time. Oh shoot, I forgot to pull up chat on my phone. Hold on. There he is. Mr. Casareto. So it was you guys, huh? You're the ones who found my secret getaway tunnel. You know how long it took me to dig that freaking thing? I had me a guard's uniform, a hole dug, and a plan in place. So I went for it on the day you found the guy. But then this little guy just had to come right after me. A sack of fur was covered in mud, too. Had to go back to our cell. Okay. I would have gotten away with it if someone hadn't off the night and brought you bums down here. You claim to have dug that tunnel just now. How exactly did you do it? Ow. Used everything I could get my hands on, see? Hammers, spoons, you name it. Spent every dime I had on this cockamamie fixer. And what do I got to show for it now, huh? Sorry, my nose is a bit not great this morning. So if you occasionally hear me sniffing, that's why. Do not be disheartened, friend. Tomorrow is another day. There's an outside chance Mr. Casareto and Knight met face to face just before Knight's death. I should see what other details I can extract from him. Okay, so that means press. You're the ones who found my secret getaway tunnel. The tunnel you... Shut up! Who you telling to hold it to? Who you telling to hold it? The tunnel you said... You know nothing. You don't know what I had to do. Had to come crawling to the fixer monk. Had to grovel and kowtow day after day after day. How you gonna give me the back of the... How you gonna give me back the hours, huh? The days, the months. Can't get a word in edgewise. Should have never stuck your noses in my tunnel. Never.
Hold it.
So the tunnel was all your own work? Every inch. You see anybody else in my cell when you was there? It's quite an effort, even for an athlete. Yeah, now that I think of it, that is an insane amount of digging for one guy. Yeah, well, you don't even know the half of it, kid. It ain't like I had a choice. Trust nobody and don't get caught. Them's the rules a con's gotta live by. Huh. You know, the rules of being a great thief are pretty similar. Okay, I'd rather you didn't start sympathizing with the suspect. Nah, I was just joking, Mr. Edgeworth. Ain't no stick a joke to me. You pug sold me. Guard's uniform and a hold dog and a plan in place.
Hold it.
The uniform, that was from the fixer too. The uniform, that was from the fixer too. Uh-huh, sure was. Heard he had something on one of the guards. Had the guy swipe it from a pal's locker. And you were wearing it when you were crawling through the tunnel? Nope. Would've got dirt on it. Had to hold on to it till I got to the holding cell. But once I was out of there, and all dressed up, opening the cell door should have been a piece of cake. Here we go, I thinks. Freedom beckons. And then the furball here jumps at me. Which would be the moment captured on camera. I see. I'd be grateful if you could add that to your testimony. So I was out of that tunnel and all dressed up. It shouldn't be, I don't think. Because, you know, the cell should have been locked. Unless... Okay, that's not really a contradiction, though. Let's press first. Opening the cell door should have been a piece of cake, you say? Sure, anything seems easy after dragging yourself through a hole in the ground. And you are familiar with the layout of the detention center, even though you live in the prison. Why wouldn't I be? Ain't like I'd never been there before. If he's familiar with the detention center, then he'd surely be aware that unlike the doors in the main prison, the holding cell doors are locked with actual keys. I'm sure Mr. Carcerado would have needed that piece of evidence to make his escape. Okay, so we do just present it. Okay. You would have needed keys! You claim that leaving the holding cell would have been a piece of cake, as you put it. Yeah, you got a problem with that? Because we can make it a problem if you catch my drift. Even once you had reached Knight's cell, you still had another door to contend with. How exactly did you plan on opening it? Mr. Carcerado, I posit that leaving the cell would have been a piece of cake only because you had the key. I don't got no stinking key. I didn't need one. It was a piece of cake because the door was open. I walked right out. Yes, I suppose Knight's cell was vacant by that point. There would have been no reason to lock it. And it was indeed unlocked when I went to examine it for myself. So perhaps when you'd finally succeeded today, it truly was unlocked because it was after the murder. But you had attempted to escape previously. Yeah, the security footage shows when you tried and failed because Teddy caught you. Which was during the circus performance, before the body was discovered. The holding cell was still locked at that time because no one knew that Knight had been killed yet. Therefore, you must have had the key to his cell on you, Without it, your escape would not have been possible. Gah! Quack! Are you saying? Could he really have? Yes, I believe he could, yes. The theft of the keys was in fact perpetrated by none other than Mr. Carceredo. He is the one who attacked the guard. There he is. But not just the guard. Knight, too. All to gain possession of the guard's keys. It wasn't me, you lousy bum. I don't even know this Knight guy. After you stole the keys, you went back to your cell to avoid suspicion. And then you waited for the perfect moment to escape. A moment when the prison would be almost deserted. That's right. The moment of the show. Just before the discovery of the body. Luckily for you, that particular attempt was unluckily for you, that particular attempt was thwarted by your furry friend. Says who, you got proof, genius? This ain't your win yet, nuh-uh. Knight knocked the guard out for the count, and everybody knows it. Don't play games with me. Knight was as much a victim as the guard in this case. As a matter of fact, I have proof that Knight had been attacked in his cell. It's the blood.
Take that.
We found traces of Knight's blood on the cleanly wiped floor of his cell. What could possibly explain such a thing other than him having been attacked? And it was you who attacked him. You ambushed the both of them and stole the keys. Why I oughta. What's with you, huh? That newspaper wiped out that wiped that blood up good. Ain't no way you should have found it. Okay, but why did you think you had to wipe it up anyway? They checked Knight in the guard's hands. They would have seen those two never came to blows. Or if they'd. But that blood gave up the whole game. Ain't no way they don't figure out there was a third man in the ring. Once they started sniffing around on the floor, they would have found the tunnel in a heartbeat. So you wiped out the blood to buy yourself a little more time, so you can wait for a better opportunity. Sadly, the opportunity you sought wasn't good enough to get you clear of the prison, it seems. Now, hand over the keys. Right in the kisser. Up, he's back up. KO'd by a lousy, stinking bum. Fine, you want the keys here. Hope you choke on them. I'm not gonna eat the keys. What do you think you use keys for?
Overruled.
Wait a moment. If Mr. Carceredo here had the keys... Indeed, Your Honor. Your theory relies on Knight having used the keys he allegedly stole to escape his cell. That was the only way he would have been able to enter Mr. Saint's cage and be moved to the workshop. Unfortunately for you, we now know that theory cannot possibly be true. Aye! No! Guess this changes things up a bit, yeah? Now the only person who could have moved Knight's body is the one person who knew about that tunnel. No! You gotta be freaking. Mr. Carceredo, you're under arrest, pal. Come quietly now, pal. You're under arrest. Come quietly now, pal. Wait, you got the wrong guy. I didn't do nothing. Alright, fine. I knocked those two chumps out and I stole the keys. But after that, I went right back to my cell and waited for my moment. Next time I went into Knight's cell, there was nobody around. And I mean nobody. Plus, his body was found in the workshop. You think I just magicked my way in there or something? I couldn't even have gotten out of my cell. Indeed, you only had the key to Knight's cell. You couldn't have left your own cell back in the prison. But Mr. Cadis's dog could. What? Hold on, give me a sec. Blech. It was not you, but Helmut, who moved the body from your cell to the workshop. I'm gonna turn the volume up just a little. With these new headphones, I don't know, like, the right volume to put it at, because they're quieter than my old ones. And I want to be able to hear the music as well. It was not you, but Helmut, who moved the body from your cell to the workshop. Again now, you're saying he wasn't the only con in this conspiracy. That is the wrong voice. Indeed, one can easily imagine that Mr. Carceredo and Mr. Canis might have worked together. Mr. Carceredo could have killed Knight and dragged him back to his cell. And then Mr. Canis' dog took him from there to the workshop. There are no restrictions on the animal's movements within the prison. Movement between the detention center and the prison proper, however, is tightly controlled. There was only one possible route, and only you could have taken advantage of it, Mr. Carceredo. Hold it. How can you be so sure? Maybe there's more of them and you just don't know. Something tells me that digging even a single tunnel was arduous enough. You got that right. You try scraping more than one hole in the dirt with a spoon. Lucky for me, I didn't have to dig the whole way. Someone already did a bunch of the work for me. Even though earlier in his testimony he said he was the one who did all of it. What? You didn't dig the entire tunnel yourself? Nope. Found it when they put me in that cell. Ran all the way from the well in the yard already. From there to the well in the yard already. Even looked down the well to check it from there. It was the same tunnel, alright. I just made good on what somebody else already started. Then what was the original tunnel for? Who knows? You're the one with all the answers, pal. Maybe somebody else tried to break out. Ooh, or maybe the animals dug it. Like, to get water from the well or something. I've heard of more plausible scenarios than that in B-grade movies, Kay. Well's dry, kid. Ain't no water to be had down there. Then why does it exist? Well, come to think of it. A smell. Yeah, it always can smell kind of nice down there. Nice. Gee, I don't know, smelled sort of like dessert, I guess. A sweet scent. That sounds very familiar. Where did we come across a sweet scent before? Knight's body, right? A sweet scent can be detected. Detective Gumshoe noticed a sweet smell when we were examining Knight's body. With the help of a police dog, we followed the scent of the body and tracked its route back through the prison. And that, Mr. Carceredo, was how we found your tunnel. Could that same sweet scent be what you noticed coming from the well? Very clever, Mr. Edgeworth. You mean to suggest that this evidence of the body having... You mean to suggest that this is evidence of the body having been moved through the tunnel? I do. Furthermore, Mr. Carceredo, you are the only person who could have done it. Nobody else had access. You have our thanks, Mr. Carceredo. Truly. Finally the truth comes into view. Now, unburden yourself. It is time. Confess your role in this tragic incident. What? You ain't pinning this on me. I'm glad to see that we are finally in agreement, Your Honor. Oh, if only we were, Mr. Edgeworth. Mr. Carceredo may have been an accomplice, but not of Mr. Canis. No, he was working with Mr. Knight.
Hold it!
They're just making shit up on the spot. What do you mean? I do not believe that he moved Mr. Knight's body. Instead, I believe that he
he lent Mr. Knight the use of the keys he stole. You gotta be kidding me! Granted, it seems likely that he attacked Mr. Knight.
So what the fuck are those shoes? Like, do you see the way Mr. Carcerero's shoes look? What the fuck is that?
That doesn't necessarily mean that Mr. Knight was knocked unconscious as a result. And what if he wasn't? What if he and Mr. Carcerero reached a certain agreement?
What kind of agreement exactly?
Mr. Knight was plotting an escape for which he required a means of leaving his cell. And here was that precise means, in the form of the keys Mr. Carcerero had just stolen from the guard. Mr. Carcerero himself would need to pass through Mr. Knight's cell in order to effect his own escape. Mr. Knight needed only to shout and alert the guards, and Mr. Carcerero's plans would be ruined. And so, the two struck a deal.
Lady, the only striking I do is with my fists.
My, still you deny it?
Yeah, because it's not fucking... You're just making shit up. So, we're agreeing that we still disagree.
Mr. Knight had Mr. Carcerero unlock his cell so that when Mr. Saint arrived, he could escape into the cage. Mr. Saint was then able to move him to the prison proper, just as planned. Ah, and then he took Mr. Knight into the workshop and did the dirty deed.
Objection!
With neither of you listening, the scent on Knight's body proves it was taken through the tunnel. It was moved from his cell to the... Perhaps if you would let me finish, Mr. Edgeworth. I am not denying that Mr. Knight's body was moved through the tunnel.
Then what are you driving at? Is this a trick question?
As you say, Mr. Edgeworth, the scent shows the route the body took. However, it did not enter the tunnel from Mr. Knight's cell. Huh? Then how did it get down there? There is another possibility, one you seem to have overlooked. The well in the yard. Could a body not have entered the tunnel from there? The well in the yard? Oh yeah, that thing! Mr. Saint did not take the cage to the workshop. He took it outside. There, he killed Mr. Knight and threw his body down the well. Mr. Cadis's dog then dragged Mr. Knight's body here to his owner's cell from the bottom of the well.
Doggo.
On that note, I would ask you to recall something. What was happening in the yard at the approximate time of the body's discovery? The circus show, right? Regina and Simeon were performing for everyone. Wait, Simeon! Ah! Ah, indeed. And so you see how it must have been him who disposed of the body.
Judge Gavelle is a truly formidable opponent. She's so effortless. She's so effortless. Words. She's so effortless. She so effortlessly adjusted her theory to fit the facts.
Words are hard. I propose that Mr. Knight was taken to the yard, not the workshop. And as we have established, Mr. Saint was off stage for 15 minutes. Ample time to throw the body down the well, I am sure you will agree.
Objection!
Your deduction is impressive, Your Honor. However, even supposing that Knight's body was indeed thrown down the well, you cannot conclusively say it was during the show. It could have happened at a different time. My sympathies, Mr. Edgeworth. But it simply could not have.
What?
Mr. Carceredo was using the tunnel at around the time the show began. Mr. Carceredo, did you happen to trip over a corpse while you were down there?
No. Place was clean.
Dirk! If the body had been at the bottom of the well before the show began, Mr. Carceredo would have seen it. However, he saw no such thing. Which makes it somewhat difficult to support your theory. Furthermore, Mr. Knight's body was discovered in the workshop after the show. In summary, the body must have been thrown down the well and moved to the workshop at some point during the show. Tell me, who else could have done that but Saint? What do we do, Mr. Edgeworth?
If the body did indeed enter the tunnel from the well, things don't look good for Mr. Saint. Still, Your Honor, your theory is still just that, a theory. And I posit that you lack the evidence to back it up.
I concede that for the moment. I do not. May I suggest that we investigate the yard again? Very well. May the goddess of justice go with you.
Now, then, to the yard. Perhaps we can finally put this case to rest.
What's that sound? Yikes, is there a fire?
Did somebody else escape? Should we maybe skip down too?
Darlings, please. There's nothing to be alarmed about. By which I mean that's not an alarm. It's the dinner bell. Although I suppose it is rather alarming if you aren't used to it.
Yesterday when I was making clips, I listened to the voice I gave this woman. I don't like the voice I gave this woman, but also I can't do a better one.
It certainly scared the heck out of me. I'm so sorry, Sweet Pea. I hope you can forgive us. Alright, you two. Back to your posts. Chop chop. And as for you, Rocco Carceredo, it's time you went back to your room.
Yeah, fine, I get the picture. Come on, Teddy, we're out of here. I assume he's going to solitary and not back to the cell that has the heckin'... the cell that has the tunnel in it.
Warden the guard, we'd like to take one more look around the yard now. Oh, darlings, don't you have homes of your own to go to? Visiting hours are over, I'm afraid. Tomorrow.
My nose is big dumb.
No, it's imperative that we investigate it right away. I think we've had quite enough excitement for one day, don't you? Murderers, escapees, so eventful. It's time our guests went home to Betty Buys, isn't it? Yes, yes it is. Come now, darling, don't make me bore you with all that. I am the warden, and this is an order nonsense. Warden Lagarde is right. Her word is the law here, and we must respect her wishes. Mr. Edgeworth, your investigation of the yard will have to wait until tomorrow. You may keep your badge for now. The matter of your standing can wait.
Oh, that's Gavel.
I bid you all good day.
Fucking Eustace just doesn't say anything.
What are you waiting for, kittykins? Off you go.
Fine.
At least there is a tomorrow for me. Judge Cavell believes that Knight's body was dropped down the well, and then taken through Mr. Carcerato's cell to the workshop. But is that truly the case? Do the facts really support her theory? She also seems to believe Mr. Saint had to be the one to move the body. But was he really the only one with the opportunity to do so?
Come on, Mr. Edgeworth. Tomorrow's another day. We'll figure out a way to save Simeon. I know we will.
Yes, we will. I will prove that Mr. Saint is innocent, beyond a shadow of a doubt. To be continued. Let's save it in a different slot this time. Instead of just constantly saving over the same one and potentially losing our save file and like losing... Like, what if I lost a stream? Oh no. And then I wouldn't be able to go back to that part. I haven't lost a VOD yet, so I don't think that's particularly an issue, but you never know. Anyway, March 29th, 10:12 a.m., prison yard. Here we are again. Let's hope we can find something this time that will finally reveal the truth behind it all. Although that might be easier said than done.
There's nothing left to investigate.
Judge Cavell's deduction yesterday. There is another possibility, one you seem to have overlooked. The well in the yard. Could a body not have entered the tunnel from there? In summary, the body must have been thrown down the well and moved to the workshop. At some point during the show. Tell me, who else could have done that but Saint? Had Knight's body really been thrown down the well? The answer to that question will surely show us the way forward. But before we begin, I should tidy up my organizer a little bit. Unnecessary evidence has been removed. Remaining evidence has been rearranged. Okay.
Let's see here.
Huh? There's a cover on it. A dried up well slap bang in the middle of a prison? Figures it'd be locked.
Well, luckily, I'm a master lockpicker. Want me to do my stuff?
Probably don't. I think not. We'll do this investigation by the book.
Come on, don't be such a stick in the mud. Whoa!
What is it, Kay?
The lock's broken. From the looks of it, it's been broken for a long time.
If that's the case, then anyone could have thrown Knight's body down the well. Judge Cavell's theory was that Mr. Saint carried out the murder here in the yard. And then during the performance, he threw the body down the well. What are you thinking, Miles Areno? Plausible or no? Miles Areno.
Oh, why don't we see if Missile can help us out again? He'll be able to tell us if Mr. Knight's body was here, and which way it went.
Good idea. I'll call Detective Gumshoe. Phone. Gumshoe speaking. Detective, I need your assistance. Come to the prison yard and bring Missile with you. You bet, sir. Gumshoe's 7 secret weapons to the rescue again, huh? I'm fairly certain Missile belongs to the precinct. I'd also like you to bring one of our witnesses. Call the Berry Big Circus and ask for Miss Regina Berry to come down here with you. Yes, sir. I'll be there before you know it. You know, being a defense attorney is a whole lot easier when you have connections to the police. And don't just have to get everything handed to you, like, secondhand.
So, what shall we do while we're waiting for Gummy? How about a quick game of hide-and-go-seek?
Fun idea, kiddo. But where exactly would we hide? He's not seriously considering it. Your game can wait, Kay. We need to call on one of your more practical skills. I think you know the one.
Oh, you bet I do. One crime scene recreation coming right up.
Say what now?
Let me show you. Introducing a great thief's great secret weapon. Little Thief.
In a world where flip phones still exist, this girl has fucking holograms. Oh, not even flip phones, brick phones. Are brick phones still a thing? Do people still sell those? Or is it all just smartphones these days? Whoa! Screens appearing from thin air? This is some next level tech, little sis. Wanna talk me through the deets? What are you doing now?
I'm inputting everything we need for the simulation.
Allow me to explain. This is Mr. Thief. It's a device that can recreate crime scenes at a specific moment in time based on the data you feed it.
How about I start us off with a recreation of what the yard looked like yesterday?
Good idea. That was when they were in the middle of tearing down the stage. We didn't pay much attention to the well then. Who knows? We may have overlooked something.
Leave it to me. I'll use the photo I took. Beepity beep boop beep. That's all the data. Just gotta pump the projection power to max and... Dark skies of evening, when no other bird dares take wing. One alone remains all-seeing. Now witness the true power of a real modern-day Robin Hood.
I'm pretty sure they changed the animation between the original Ace Attorney Investigations and the sequel. Also, I'm just now realizing this is the reason they bothered explaining it is because this is the first time it's used in the sequel. I didn't think of anything of it because I played the original before I started streaming the sequel, so I'm used to it. But yeah, this is the thing. Yipes! What is this?
It's a recreation of how things were yesterday, modeled on the data I gave Little Thief. This gadget was a tool used by the original Yatagarasu, but they used it to plan robberies.
Well, there's no harm in using it for something on the right side of the law now.
Oh, but keep in mind that it can only recreate what you tell it to. It can't simulate things it doesn't have data for, and if the data itself contains mistakes, then you'll wind up with those same mistakes in the recreation too.
But this particular recreation is based on case photos, so we shouldn't run into any problems. That's enough preamble. Shall we get started? Begin investigation!
Don't forget, you can examine stuff in the recreation just like in real life. You can also present evidence to try and clear up any inconsistencies you find.
Of course. Thank you for the reminder. Now let's take a look at that well. Well time. We should examine this area carefully. It may just hold the clue we need. Got these? What are a bunch of pulleys doing here? They don't seem to be well pulleys for lifting buckets. Got a cloth? Oh, never mind. We don't have a cloth. There's a sturdy-looking hemp rope lying on the ground.
Kinda reminds me of the ropes we used for playing tug-of-war in school.
The answer is no, Kay.
What? I didn't even say anything. Yet.
You can't play tug-of-rope with a simulation rope. I see it also has a metal stake attached to one end.
Oh yeah, it looks like something you'd use to put up a tent.
But there was no tent, was there? In which case, what was it used for? Good question. It's a metal weight of some kind. It looks like it weighs... Projection makes it a little tricky to read. Do you remember how heavy it was, Kay? It clearly says 30 pounds. Edgeworth, I think you might need to get your eyes checked. Oh, he does start wearing glasses in the Apollo trilogy, so so maybe he does have eyesight problems, actually.
Sure, it was 30 pounds. Single 30-pound weight was found by the well. What does anyone need such a heavy weight for anyway? Doesn't seem related to the circus show at any rate. And of course there's the well itself. The well was behind the stage, which means there aren't many people who could have thrown Knight's body down it during the show. This is looking worse and worse for Mr. Saint.
So what do you think all the stuff around the well was used for?
Pulleys, a rope, and a weight. What are they being used for? Good question.
I can't see any of the animals needing them for their part of the performance.
Indeed. Nothing immediately strikes me as a likely purpose. We'll have to ask Miss Berry later. Okay then. While we're here, we'll have a look around. Yes, this is where the circus show stage stood.
Do you think people would be interested in a great thieving show?
I'm sure the police would be very... I'm pretty sure we read this last time. I'm sure the police would be very eager to attend. We got chairs. These chairs must have been for the audience.
Wow, I pity whoever had to put them all away.
Really? Why?
Heh, you've clearly never had to fold up a bunch of boring chairs before, huh?
Not personally. I've told other people to do it though.
Come on, Mr. Edgeworth, you gotta roll up your sleeves and help out once in a while.
I'll consider it. Man. What was the name of our trunk happy friend again?
Isaiah the Asian Elephant.
God, what the hell happened to my nose overnight? I was not sneezing and bleching this much yesterday. Of course, how could I forget? Not exactly inspired though, is it? Was Miss Berry having an off day when she came up with it? No, that's just how she names things.
Oh my gosh, Mr. Edgeworth! Not in front of the poor elephant herself.
I suspect that's about all there is to find for now. Detective Gumshoe should be here soon, too. Okay, you can power down Mr. Thief now.
Sure thing. Prepare to return to normality.
Beep. Investigation complete. Okay, that was it. That was quick. Sorry, sir. I came as quick as I could. There he is.
Ha! Speak of the devil.
Ah, detective. That was indeed impressively quick. You know me, sir. Never did like to keep you waiting.
Thanks for coming all this way too, Regina. No problem. This seemed way more fun than rehearsals, so I ditched them for the day.
It's very much appreciated. Why is the animation of Edgeworth bowing so hecking smooth compared to everything else? Alright, Detective, let's get started with Missile. Yes, sir. Hey, Missile. Over here, boy. What's the matter, boy? Come on. That was a very awkward, like, small pan. And I get the feeling that's because this was originally on the DS, so they had, like, less screen real estate. That's probably why certain characters are just popping out of existence when they get near the end of the edge of the screen as well, because, like, these things were originally on the DS, which had a smaller screen. And they just didn't update it to look better. What's the matter? Come on, boy, come on. What's wrong with him? Looks like he's scared of something, sir. Alligator! Guess he's not a fan, sir. Well, I doubt he'll be much help to us like this. Any other bright ideas, Miles Areno? Yes, actually. Miss Barry, would you mind lending us a hand?
Oh, I'd love to. Just tell me what you need. Do you want me to teach Alice some tricks?
I don't doubt she could do it, but nothing quite like that. I'd simply like an account of what the yard looked like during the show.
I like where this is going. You think of using Little Thief again, am I right?
If you'd be so kind.
Missle's just sniffing around. He's cute. Okay, I've plugged in all the data. Firing up the simulation.
Whee!
Here you go. This is what the yard was like during the show.
At the time at which the body was purported to have been thrown down the well.
Oh wow, this is so amazing. It's like magic. No magic here, just sweet, sweet data. Which is why...
The area behind the stage is missing.
Yeah, Regina said she wasn't involved in getting the stage set up. So we don't have any data on what it was like back there.
No data, no simulation, huh? Brutal.
I'm so sorry, you guys. It's all because I let Simeon do everything by himself.
Which, of course, makes him look super guilty. Oh, no. It's all my frilly associates' fault. Huh? Objection, Fender.
Anyway, we've got a fresh simulation now, but we still don't have the other data, too. I can switch back whenever you want the recreation of them taking down the stage.
So we can examine the scene both during and after the show. And switch between the two at will. I can switch between the two recreations by using X to talk with K. Now then, let's continue our investigation, shall we? Begin investigation. Even though it's really just a continuation of the previous investigation. It's as bad as it looks, sir. The poor little guy's scared out of his skin. I'd hope to have him track that scent again, but that clearly isn't in the cards now. Whimper.
Sag. So, do you come to visit the prison often, Regina? I sure do. I have so many little friends here. It's wonderful. And they're all such sweeties. The old faces and the new. I made a new friend only yesterday. Allie is just the cutest.
Cute? That full-grain alligator lurking in the depths of the pond?
Are you sure about that? Can't help worrying. You could just walk up and then chomp, you know? Oh, don't be silly. She'd never do anything like that. Especially since she's not doing great. I heard she hasn't been herself since yesterday. I'm so worried about her. You guys are worried too, right? Right? Yeah, totally. Super worried, right, Mr. Edgeworth?
Yes. Super. Don't rub me into this.
A story of forbidden love between a tiger and an elephant. I wish I could have seen it. I wish I could have seen Simeon up there on that stage too. Oh, he was wonderful. The way he flew off that stage.
Ah yes, that scene. This victory is depicted in a very unique manner, whereby the villain is sent flying from the stage. Having been ejected from the stage in this manner, the villain no longer appears in the performance. And you're saying the crime took place during that time? Roughly how long would you say Mr. Saint was off stage for, Miss Berry?
Let's see. It was around 15 minutes?
Just as Judge Cavell said. Isn't it pretty hairy, health and safety-wise, having an elephant fling a guy off the stage?
Not at all. Isaiah is very gentle.
I'm not sure it changes much if she flings him gently or roughly.
Too gentle, in fact. When we first rehearsed it, she barely nudged him. But by the end, he was flying off that stage. Not because of Isaiah, though. Simeon had figured out some other kind of trick, apparently. Isn't that amazing?
A trick? Do you have any idea what kind of trick?
Who, me? Oh no, it was Simeon's big thing. I don't know where to start.
Mr. Saint's big moment. A trick of some kind enabled Isaiah to send Saint flying. I have a logic. The items around the well were probably from Mr. Saint's big moment. Yeah. The trick Mr. Saint performed for his big scene. Could it have something to do with all the items we found by the well? Okay, I'd like to have another look at the equipment around the well from yesterday. Could you have Mr. Thief bring up the recreation from when they were tearing down the stage?
You got it.
She has not once corrected him about the fact that he has the name wrong. And this also isn't the first time Edgeworth has done something like this. I remember in the very first game he gets Mr. Monkey wrong as Mrs. Monkey. Taking another look at these items. Could they not have been used for this trick of Mr. Saint's?
Sounds plausible enough. Hey, I can maybe add it to the simulation.
Good idea. Please go and ask Mr. Saint for the details.
Roger that. I'll be right back.
And naturally, the simulation somehow stays here even after Kay leaves.
I'm back, and he told me exactly how he did it.
Excellent. Well, how does it work?
He said he used the pulley at the top of the well to suspend a heavy weight from a rope, and lowered that down into the well. On the other end of the rope went through 2 more pulleys, and was tied around his body.
I see. So he used the downward pull of the weight to help launch himself into the air. But how did he make sure the weight only dropped when he wanted it to?
He used a stake on top of it, that's how.
Miss Berry didn't seem to know anything about the trick, or the contraption he built for it. In that case, I suppose it must have been Mr. Saint himself who pulled out the stake.
That's right. And to do that, he used a second length of rope. He tied it to the stake, and then when he gave it a sharp tug, the stake was released.
God, what the fuck is up with my nose today?
The stake was released and the weight dropped down the well. It's a great trick. I have to steal it. This one has to go in the Great Thief's repertoire.
It may not be quite that easy. These kinds of circus tricks can require years of practice to master. Simply stealing the idea won't be enough.
Alright, practice it is then.
Well, before you run away to do so, would you mind updating the simulation?
Oh, right. Then we can see how it all worked for ourselves. Okay, I'm switching back to the recreation of the performance. And now to add in the data. Little Thief should be able to reproduce the trick now.
There it is. So this is how Mr. Saint performed his trick. Mr. Saint's trick, a contraption that used the well, a very heavy weight, 3 pulleys, and 2 lengths of rope to send Saint flying during the show.
Simeon's full of surprises, huh? I mean, dropping a weight down the well to help him fly off the stage like that? That's genius.
Indeed, but I imagine he would have needed quite a lot of weight, more than him at the very least. Would have taken some serious pull to lift him into the air like that.
Pulling force, something heavier than Saint himself would be needed for the trick to work. Yeah, and probably a ton of practice.
Which... not that one.
This one.
Because he needs something heavier, but all we found was a 30-pound weight.
That's not right. Wait, doesn't this seem odd to you?
No. You haven't noticed, Detective? There's something strange about the weight we found.
How heavy it is?
One weight on its own wouldn't be heavy enough.
More weight would have been needed to lift Saint into the air.
A single 30-pound weight couldn't have lifted Mr. Saint off the ground. Oh yeah! In which case, could there perhaps be some weights missing? Sounds like a job for my 7 secret weapons, sir. Should the need to use them arise, I suppose I should speak to him with him then. Don't say a word, sir. I know just what you're looking for. It's written all over your face. Is it? Missile may be temporarily out of action, but my fishing rod is good to go whenever you need it. Not the fishing rod. Oh, and if you want to give the metal detector a shot, I have that too. I've never seen him so excited. I'll be sure to let you know if I need either of them, Detective. Well, the weights are made of metal. Detective, I have need of one of your secret weapons. Roger that. The metal detector, if you would be so kind. Aw, jeez. I'm never gonna get to use my fishing rod. So before we get started, let me run you through how the metal detector works, sir. It's simple enough. It uses this sound and this gauge to tell you how close you are to something made of metal. The closer you get, the more strongly it'll react. When it starts going wild like this, just give me the order to examine the spot where I'm standing. Say, what do we got here? Oh, the fence. Anyway, that's how it all works. Just tell me where you want me to look, sir, and I'll get right on it. Hey, now we get the Good Gumshoe remix. Not that his old theme was bad, but, you know. This is probably just a basketball hymn. I got something! There's something here, sir! Oh! It's a gold coin, sir! What a find! It'll go down in history. I don't imagine a gold coin would stay hidden long in a prison yard. Oh, you found it! Never would have guessed it was hiding here this whole time. That's one of the coins from the big coin hunt we hold once every 2 weeks. I would like my nose to be unclogged, please. Hey, that sounds kind of interesting. Must be fun for the whole family. Maybe I'm sick, actually. Maybe that's why my nose is reacting like this. I don't feel particularly sick, but that could just be because I'm confusing me being tired for me being sick. I'm not sure. Not sure how I would have gotten sick considering how little I left my apartment last week. Sure is. The prisoners have to hunt for the coins the warden buried around the yard. And if they find 3 silver coins or 1 gold coin, they can swap them for a jelly donut. First the show, now a treasure hunt? Is this a prison or a playground? Alright, let's get back to it. So it's not reacting to the basketball hoop, I guess. Okay. Detective, there will be time to chat later. We have an investigation to conduct. Yes, sir. Dang, we can't have Gumshoe speak to people. Oh. I found something. There's something here, sir. I don't see anything metallic. What did the detective pick up? Guess I must have just picked up some iron sand. Iron sand? As in sand you can pick up with a magnet? That's the stuff. You can find it at the beach sometimes. I got just the thing we need right here. Introducing secret weapon number 6 or 7. Are you making this up as you go along? A seemingly ordinary magnet that I found at the hardware store. Watch this. I just bring it close to the ground and ta-da! It's picking out the iron. Woo! Come on, little guys, come to Papa. It must be nice to be so easily entertained. Regardless, the investigation must continue. Alright, let's get back to it. So there's nothing left over here anymore. Okie dokie. Thankfully it no longer reacts to the fence because we already investigated the fence. Or Gumshoe investigated the fence for us. However, we do have this. Sir, I'm picking up something over here. Let's take a little look-see. Huh? I found these little guys in the grass. They're the same as the weights we found by the well. They must be from Mr. Saint's trick. Did someone hide these here on purpose? I count 4 altogether. 4 altogether, sir.
They would be more than heavy enough to send him flying.
So somebody hid several of the same weights as the one by the well. But why? And why over here?
Yes, nice work, me.
Yeah! An alligator!
The thing nearly gave me a heart attack. Huh?
What's the matter, detective?
It's the metal detector, sir. It's, reacting to the alligator.
What? How?
You sure it's not responding to the weights we just found?
No, sir. I'm sure this is something different. And I'm sure it's coming from the alligator.
Oh, there it goes. And she's gone.
Ha! We scared that big snapper good. I don't think that's it, Kay. Huh? Then what is it? Allie hasn't been herself lately.
That's the name, Allie, the warden's favorite pet.
She wouldn't even look at the food board the guard brought her yesterday. She was acting as if, I don't know, as if maybe she'd eaten something that didn't agree with her.
Maybe the metal detector was responding to whatever she ate, sir.
Oh no! What if she ate one of the weights?
I highly doubt that even an alligator could swallow a 30-pound lump of iron. So what did the metal detector actually pick up? And why would someone hide those weights? Perhaps I missed something when I looked at the equipment by the well. Kay, could you recreate the scene again?
Coming right up.
Okie dokie. Not sure what we're going to do now. Oh wait. Hold on. I'll scour the scene and inspect anything that catches my attention. There's only one rope here. He used 2 ropes, didn't he? Two lengths of rope, yeah. Think about the 2 recreations, the one during the performance and the one we're looking at right now. There's a major difference between the 2. Namely that one of the ropes is missing. Oh yeah! Mr. Saint's trick wouldn't work with only the items we see before us.
So what happened?
Where did the missing rope go? I think one of the pieces of evidence we've collected might tell us exactly that.
Really?
What shows us where the missing rope went? The rope.
Take that!
This rope was found beside Knight's body. Knocked my phone over while I was trying to get a tissue. This rope was found beside Knight's body.
Wait, you mean...
Yes, it must have been the other rope used in Mr. Saint's trick.
So you're saying...
Yes, that this rope did indeed have a weight attached to it. But it wasn't any of the iron weights we found. Those were hidden in the bushes and replaced with something else.
What was it, Mr. Edgeworth? Come on, I'm dying here.
Think about what the rope we found in the workshop was related to. Do that and you'll soon figure out the answer. The weight dropped down the well in place of the iron weights was... Mr. Knight's body. It could only have been Knight's body that was dropped down the well.
What? Mr. Knight's body was the weight?
Yes. Somebody first swapped out the weights used for Mr. Saint's trick. Then, Mr. Saint used the contraption to make his exit from the stage. Then, he let the rope around his body loose. Oh. Hold on. History. When he let the rope around his body loose, both the rope and Knight's body fell to the bottom of the well. That rope was never used to restrain Knight. It was used to suspend his body halfway down the well. From this, we can easily see why most of the weights were hidden.
So that no one would realize they'd been replaced with the body.
Precisely. We can then further deduce that they were hidden by the killer. Whoa there, gang. Wasn't poor old Bronco stabbed in the neck? Wouldn't there be blood everywhere, including down the well? Oh, the killer thought of that, which is why they used this. What did the killer use to stop Knight's blood from going everywhere? The tarp. This tarp was found with the body. I think it's highly likely that Knight's corpse was wrapped in it. Ooh, another piece of the puzzle falls into place. It's all coming together now. Love it.
But all we're doing is proving that the body did go down the well. Which means we're helping to prove that Simeon was the killer.
No, not quite.
But what about what Judge Gavelle said yesterday?
But if Mr. Saint truly is the killer, why would he need to go to such lengths to commit his crime?
That's true.
Knight's body fell down the well when Mr. Saint used his contraption during the show. Therefore, it reveals nothing about where the real killer actually was, or what they were doing at the time. It's only designed to throw suspicion onto those who were not at the show.
Yeah, I guess we did suspect Mr. Cadis right away, huh?
That was the killer's goal, to make us think that the crime took place during the show. In other words, they used the well contraption to construct an alibi. Miss Berry, when exactly did Mr. Saint put his contraption together?
It would have been the day before the show. The night before, actually. Yes, we started getting ready for the show at around 9 p.m. And I think we finished at around midnight?
In which case, the killer must have switched the weights out for the body after that point. Oh, I didn't read what was... Okay. The weights were replaced with the victim's body by someone. Did Cadus know about this contraption? Even if he did, he wouldn't have been able to do much with it. And I highly doubt that he taught his dog to suspend bodies halfway down wells. Which means Cadus isn't the killer. Because of course, having an assassin as the culprit of the case would be a little boring now, wouldn't it? A little too expected, I guess, question mark. Like, oh, the killer was the killer. Gee, good one, Herlock. Okay, now what? I thought that was gonna be it. Say the elephant body uses weight. Okay, we have nothing here. Oh, we haven't looked over this side during the other recreation.
What is it, Mr. Edgeworth? Alright, if you want me to change the recreation to the performance 2 days ago?
There we go. Let's have a look around.
Here you go. This is how things look during the show.
There we go. I knew there'd be something different over here. Definitely not because I've seen people play through this case before. In the fan translation. The basket was empty in the other recreation.
Oh yeah, but it was definitely empty in the photo I took too. Oops, sorry. I made a mistake when I was filling you in earlier.
Oh?
That basket's for holding Isaiah's food, but on the morning of the show, all the apples that were in it had vanished. Poof. I totally forgot to mention it. Sorry.
Disappearing apples? I should make a note of this. Food for Isaiah was in the cart until the day before the show, but was gone by the next morning. Okay. Did the elephant eat the food? The elephant ate the food. The apples in the basket were likely eaten by Isaiah.
Really? That's strange. I made sure to put the card where her trunk couldn't reach them.
Are you sure about that?
Oh yes. It was still full of apples the night before the show.
Then we must consider the possibility that the card was moved somewhere within Isaiah's reach. A large basket full of apples couldn't have been moved by the wind, which likely means somebody moved it for a reason. My nose! Basket of apples. The basket was moved by someone the night before the show. So before the show had even started, the cart had been moved and its apples eaten. Yes, that seems to be the most probable timeline. Let's update the recreation, Kay.
Will do. I'll add that into the simulation of the performance then. Updating based on what Regina told us now. There, all done.
So now I guess we want to look at what the basket was in front of. This door appears to be locked.
Want me to open it? Can't guarantee anything, but I'll certainly give it a try.
No, if we deem it necessary, we will simply ask for the key.
Spoil sport. That could have been my chance to shine.
You're free to shine somewhere else, but you'll not make an audience out of me. Okay, never mind. We don't look at that apparently. The Great Thief's secret weapon. Come and be intrigued, Miles Arito. Not exactly by the book stuff, though, yeah? Using Great Thief doodads in an official investigation. Whoa, enough for the death stares, Chief. I'm cool, okay? I can keep a secret. Anything for the truth, am I right? It's possible that vital evidence has already been destroyed. Without Kay's reproduction of the scene, we have no hope of finding it. Hey, relax, like I said. I'll just zip it and nod politely while you cats do your thing. Thank you. That would be very helpful. Okay, what do we do now then? I'm lost. This pond is home to Warden Lagarde's beloved alligator.
And look, those bones must be from our latest meal.
I somewhat doubt an alligator could pick a carcass clean like that.
You think? I got the feeling she was rather ladylike in her own way, actually.
If you say so.
Well, I do. I kinda have a sixth sense for these things.
An interesting talent, though not one I'm particularly envious of. It's the pen that held Isaiah, the Asian elephant. Now empty as the lady herself is on stage.
I wonder how they got her here in the first place.
What do you mean?
Well, the entrance to the yard is people-sized. And there's like a gazillion megawatts pumping through that fence. Kinda risky now.
Not if one turned off the electricity.
Yeah, but then all the prisoners would escape.
Through an entrance blocked by an elephant? I think not.
This is a real puzzler, alright. I'll need to give it some more thought.
She seems to be enjoying the challenge. I'll leave her to it. Well, we haven't looked at the fence yet.
Now that's one impressive fence. I'm sure I could climb it if I...
Please don't. It's electrified.
I wonder what's on the other side.
The warden's office, I believe.
I guess she likes to keep a close eye on her pets.
This facility would probably function better as a zoo than a prison. Okay. What else haven't we investigated yet? Little wonder it smelled of animals. It was being used for the elephant.
To hold Isaiah's apples, right? Yep, it was full of them the day before the show.
So they vanished overnight?
Ooh, did you figure something out, Mr. Edgeworth?
Quite possibly. I think that's supposed to be a hint to use logic, but I already did, so... The chairs are lined up neatly for the show. Although we know there were a few empty seats during the performance.
Huh. Something odd, something about this space, the way the seats are arranged. Reminds me of a karaoke contest I entered as a kid.
You entered a karaoke contest?
I sure did, and I came in second. Even in the depths of night, when no other bird dares to take flight. One alone soars to shine, the light of righteousness on the world's blight.
She's probably supposed to be singing this, but I don't know what the tune's supposed to be, so how the hell am I supposed to sing it? Yeah, either some sort of flowering plant has majorly hecked up my sinuses, or I'm sick. There is no other explanation for why my nose is going this berserk. So I might be sick right now. Who knows? Tell me you didn't actually sing that.
I sure did.
She did well to take second place, or perhaps stole is more apt.
Or is it more that she failed to steal first place?
I'm overthinking this. Is there more here? There is more here, apparently. This tarp, it's just like the one we saw in the workshop.
This tarp, it's just like the one we saw in the workshop.
Yes, but why is it here?
But why is it here? Are you okay, Mr. Edgeworth? You've gone kind of blank.
And I intend to stay blank until you stop stealing my thoughts.
That's one heavy weight. Kind of makes you think how much this all must be weighing on Simeon.
It does? I'm not sure I quite see it myself.
Oh, too bad we don't have the real thing here. Otherwise I'd hang it around your neck like a big ol' albatross. Then we'll see how you like it.
You'd face some stiff resistance if you tried, I can promise you that. Mr. Satan used the well to construct a contraption that would send him flying from the stage. It made clever use of 2 ropes. 2 ropes. But in the teardown and recreation, wasn't there only... I should try switching to the other simulation to double check. And that's, I guess, your clue to use logic on that one, but I already did that. Pulley and a rope. I suppose the two do tend to go together.
They sure do, like a great thief and her treasure. Can't have one without the other.
Sorry, but the proper pairing in this case is a great thief and a set of handcuffs. Okay, I guess we go back to the other recreation? Maybe there's more for us to look at here.
Here you go, this is how things looked when they were taking down the stage.
I didn't mean to speak to Missile, I meant to speak to Gumshoe. Mr. Edgeworth, I think I've cracked the case, sir. What if the killer was an invisible man? Go on. Well, the weapon came out of nowhere and nobody knows how the body was moved. None of that makes sense until you put an invisible man in the picture. Detective, don't tell me you think invisible people really exist. Who knows, sir? But it'd be fun to see one, though, huh? What a winning idea. Perhaps we should make your assignment to Mr. Winner permanent from tomorrow. You gotta be kidding me. That kid probably still believes in Santa Claus. Sorry. People in glass houses. Don't know if there's actually anything. Oh, I didn't mean to speak to Regina. Yep. Just gonna run by everything to see. Okay, that's the same. But they're treating it as a separate thing because it's in the separate simulation. Okay, and this is the same here as well. Pulled them the day before the show, managed overnight. Logic. This is probably the same. Yep, this is the same. And then if I look at this... No, I don't believe there is any more to be found around here, okay.
What is it, Mr. Edgeworth?
Let's switch again. Now let me just check. Does he say the same thing? Yeah, I don't believe there is any more to be found around here. Okay. Then is it... Are these two connected? Body used as a weight. The body was left dangling. Basket was moved by... Are we saying that they used the basket to move the body? Because I don't think there's anything... Okay. That's not where I thought we were going with this.
The basket was moved the night before the circus performance, and we've deduced that the weights were switched out for the body around the same time.
Hard to chalk that up to coincidence, huh?
And the next question we should be asking is, why was the cart moved? So the connection of the two logic points was these two things happened at around the same time. And this somehow leads us to why was the cart moved. This feels like a bit of a leap in logic, but we're progressing, so I'll take it. I think I can hazard a guess. The cart would have been blocking that door, which could only mean
that somebody needed to open it. Now, let's see what's... Oh! Great, it's locked. Let me ask a guard for help. Hey, Mr. Guard!
Here he comes. Yes, miss, what can I do for you? That was fast. Guard, where's the key for this door? Oh, the warden keeps hold of that. I'll go ask her for it. Warden the guard is the only one with a key. Meaning if somebody did open the door, they would have had to get it from her somehow.
Thanks for the help.
Look at all these breakers. They must control the electricity for the whole prison.
Nose!
I apologize for having to mute so often and just draw the game to a standstill, but the alternative is you hearing me being all gross.
So we're thinking somebody got in here the night before the show, right? But why? What were they trying to do?
Well, I doubt they came here by mistake thinking it was a break room. They must have come to tamper with the switches.
Did they turn off the power to something?
Come to think of it, wasn't there something that lost power? What might have lost power and had a break and been flipped?
That would have been...
Do we have... No, it is just this. Timestamp is off due to a 3-hour gap in the footage.
Take that!
There was a 3-hour gap in the security camera footage.
Oh yeah, there was. So somebody flipped the breaker it was connected to?
It seems very likely.
Do you think it was the killer?
It's true that shutting off the cameras would have made things easier for them.
It would.
Which means the killer would have to be someone who had access to the breakers. And it seems only one person has the key.
It couldn't be.
Could it? There's the breakers located in the power room just off the prison yard. Were they tampered with the night before the body was found?
Alright, little thief, your work here is done, finally.
Investigation complete. Oh hey, it's these guys. First on the scene, the early bird wins the worm. Good morning, Mr. Winner.
What? You? How did you get here before me?
Good morning, Mr. Edgeworth. I see you've made an early start. And I see you've made a late one, Judge Gavel. It is not my only case. I am a very busy woman. Not all of us enjoy the freedom of a prosecutor relieved of his only current responsibility. Gurk. Oh, I do apologize. I meant, of course, an associate attorney.
Associate, more like asinine.
We'll see about that.
Eustace, let us begin the investigation of the yard. Okay, I'll go get some officers to help.
Hold it!
That won't be necessary. Why not? We've already finished investigating the yard and won quite the prize in the process. Won? But I'm supposed to be the winner. Your Honor, I'd like to revisit your theory from yesterday, in order to thoroughly disprove it. I would caution you to choose your words carefully, Mr. Edgeworth. I am sure you remember your badge is in my hands.
Well, actually, it's in my pocket, but...
How can I forget? You've told me several dozen times already. Perhaps you'd care to try a different threat.
Overruled.
You have been warned repeatedly, yes, and each time my words seem to have fallen on deaf ears. Allow me to make this crystal clear. The committee cannot and will not tolerate insubordination.
Objection!
The fate of my badge and the whims of the committee are of no concern to me now. The only thing that concerns me is proving Simeon Saint's innocence. Interesting, and spoken like a true defense attorney. In that case, I shall be equally uncompromising. In the name of the goddess of justice, I will strike down your case without mercy. And when I am done, your career as a prosecutor will be over as well. I hope you do not come to regret this. Judge Cavell's theory. My theory remains the same as when I related it to you yesterday. Mr. Carceredo did not see Mr. Knight's body when he passed through the tunnel. As such, the body could only have been dropped down the well during the show.
Oh, there's a bird!
We both know the only one who could have dropped the body down there during the show is Mr. Saint. That's still your assertion, and you can prove it, of course. Of course she can! Who do you think you're up against? What Eustace means to say is that we received the final autopsy report ahead of our arrival.
She really is a very busy woman. Busy looking after baby Winner.
The victim appears to have died the night before the body was discovered. In other words, the night before the show. The cause of death is as stated. It seems the wound is 4 inches deep. Simeon Saint was off stage for a period of 15 minutes. That was plenty of time for him to throw the victim's body down the well.
Judge Cavell hasn't investigated the yard yet, which means...
I fear there may be something of a flaw in your theory, Your Honor. You seem very confident of that, but do you have any evidence to prove it?
I think it's throat lozenge time. We're about halfway through a normal length stream after all.
Yes, I think I just might.
So... He didn't see Mr. Knight's body. As such, the body could only have been dropped down the well during the show. And the only one who could have dropped the body down there was Mr. Saint. And I think this is where we present it. And say that someone replaced... Oh, sorry. Someone replaced the weights with the body. So it didn't necessarily need to be Simeon who did that.
Objection!
Yeah.
Sorry, Your Honor, but there's something else you're going to have to take into account. The well in the yard was rigged up to create a certain unique contraption. A contraption? Go on. You will recall that Mr. Saint was sent flying from the stage by the elephant. I do, just before he was to be absent for some time. He was only able to fly through the air thanks to a weighted rope he tied around himself. Dropping the weighted end down the well allowed him to complete the trick.
Objection!
Wait, wouldn't that send him flying as soon as he set foot on the stage?
Hold it!
It's simple, really. He kept the weight from falling by using a stake to keep the rope in place. With a second rope, he was able to pull the stake free, thereby controlling when the weight was dropped. We have found evidence to suggest that the original weight was replaced with Knight's body. This was done by the real killer in order to create an alibi. The estimated time of death tells us that the murder took place early in the morning. I probably shouldn't have streamed today, but it's too late now. I want to finish this case. The killer could have tampered with the contraption in the time between the murder and the show.
Objection!
You're saying Mr. Saint himself set this contraption up, right? Well then, who do you think is the number one most likely person to have used it to dispose of a body, hmm?
I think the reason number one is highlighted in orange here is because that's his, that's Eustace's Japanese surname. I don't remember if it's pronounced the same. I think it's Ichiban, but it basically translates to number one. Which is why his fan-translated surname was De Best, and why his English surname is Winner. Even you must see how this looks.
Objection!
If Mr. Saint was the killer, he could have simply done as Judge Gavelle theorized without these extra steps. Miss Barry,
Yes?
does anyone else know how Mr. Saint's trick works?
Well, let's see. We had to get the prison's approval on what we were going to perform, so I don't think Simeon's the only one who knows.
And there you have it.
Overruled.
Interesting.
You have certainly been diligent in your investigation, and yet I fail to comprehend your actions still. Why do you not work to do what is right?
What I am doing is what I am doing wrong? If so, who is it that deems it so?
How can you not grasp even that? How can you not see that you are doing wrong at this very moment? You are a prosecutor, and yet you aid the defense. This flies in the face of common sense. You're breaking every rule in the book.
I think only of what is right and just, and act as I see fit in each situation I am confronted with. This is the path I have chosen, and whether you can comprehend that choice is immaterial. But if you mean to stand in my way, I will fight back with all I can bring to bear.
Perhaps the goddess of justice is testing me. Very well. If it is her will that we must fight, then I shall end this once and for all. Listen well, Mr. Edgeworth, for there is another reason why only Mr. Saint can be the killer.
And what's that other reason, Miss Gavelle?
If the body was moved from the yard to the workshop, then Mr. Knight must have first been brought here to the yard from his cell. The only person who had the opportunity to do that is Simeon Saint.
and thus, he remains the only plausible suspect. Mr. Saint took a cage with him to Mr. Knight's cell. But why would he do that? Why take such an unwieldy object all the way to the holding cells?
Yeah, it is pretty sus.
Amogus. Sorry. But we've all met Mr. Saint. That's exactly the kind of thing he would do. It's entirely plausible that he took the cage with him out of absent-mindedness and nothing else. It may be plausible, but it is no more or less plausible than him having helped Mr. Knight to escape. I need some real solid evidence if I'm going to get her to budge. Alright, I don't know what we're meant to be presenting, so I'll press everything first.
Hold it!
You seem to think that Mr. Knight was killed here in the yard. When do you think he was brought here?
Sometime between midnight and 8 a.m. the day of the show.
It could only have been during that time. In other words, between the end of rehearsal and the start of the performance.
As I was saying, if the body was moved from the yard to the workshop,
then Mr. Knight must have first been brought here to the yard from his cell. Was there really no other way he could have come here?
Mr. Knight was awaiting trial. If he, a random non-inmate, had openly entered the prison proper, he surely would have been noticed.
And presumably none of your witnesses have testified to having seen such a thing?
Precisely. Praise be to the Goddess of Justice for granting you this insight. So as you will agree, it can only be that Mr. Knight was brought here in secret.
The only person who had the opportunity to do that is Simeon Saint.
Hold it!
You're certain nobody else had the opportunity?
Need I remind you that we are in a prison? The entire facility is monitored at all times. Anything out of the ordinary would have been spotted.
Hold it!
But Mr. Saint was under that same scrutiny, was he not?
Overruled!
The warden had granted the members of the circus troupe special access. As a member of that troupe, under the supervision of Miss Barry, he is the only person who was free to wander where he will.
Objection!
Seems you've forgotten something, Your Honor.
Overruled!
Forget is not a word in my vocabulary, Mr. Edgeworth. Very well, then recall this fact, if you will. You claim that Mr. Saint is the only person who was free to walk around the prison. But there was a brief period of time on the day of the crime in this prison. Hold on. But there was a brief period of time on the day of the crime in this prison. A time when it would have been possible for anyone to move around the prison entirely unmonitored. What do I have that shows there was a period on the day of the crime where oversight was limited? Oh, you mean? I think this?
Take that!
Yeah. Mr. Saint is far from the only one who had the opportunity. Which opportunity are we talking about again? We'd previously established that the time code on the security footage was off by 3 hours. And from this, we can deduce that there must have been a power outage lasting for that length of time, during which anyone could have moved around the prison undetected.
Do you mean to say that our killer intentionally created this 3-hour gap? That it was no simple camera malfunction? Is that even possible?
It was completely possible to create the 3-hour gap using this. The breakers. Our investigation of the yard turned up something rather interesting. A panel of breakers, one of which can be used to cut power to the security cameras. We also learned that the door to the power room may have been opened around the time of the murder.
What?
Such a shame to see one so capable fall so short of the mark.
Mr. Edgeworth knows what he's doing.
Then how does he explain the lock on the power room door?
Oh yeah, it was kind of locked up tight. And the warden's the only one with the key.
Those breakers are vital to the prison's infrastructure, so I very much doubt that anyone could have gained access to the power room's key so easily.
Objection!
No, but one person could have. I beg your pardon. That person, the killer, had easy access in. Had easy access to it, in fact. And what's more, their position here is such that nobody would dare question them.
Objection!
What? There's no one like that. The breaker the breaker to the electric fence is in there. Is in there. They would be questioned in an instant.
There's only one person who meets these criteria. I can hardly believe it myself, but I have to follow where the logic leads. The person who had access to the power room key was... It's her!
Take that!
The real culprit is... Woof. Warden Lagarde.
There she is.
Man, I'm gonna run out of tissues at this rate.
Oh, just look at you. Aren't you the cutest little poochie-woo?
He's not just a pretty face. Missile also has quite the nose for sweet things. Seems he's smelling something very sweet indeed, and it's coming from you.
Oh, darling, you're making me blush. I'm not even wearing perfume.
Then perhaps it is the sweet stench of death.
You're a regular poet, aren't you? I had no idea.
But if I didn't know any better, I'd almost think you're calling moi the killer. That is precisely what I'm calling you.
What?
Warden Lagarde is the killer? Mr. Edgeworth, do you realize what you're saying?
Oh ho ho! Such a naughty boy. How could he suspect me? I'm the one in charge around here.
It's like we're in a murder mystery, aren't we?
Aren't we?
And equally far-fetched. This is preposterous.
Hold it!
Sadly, it is not, although I can hardly believe it myself. But this is where the evidence points, and we must trust in the evidence. This piece of evidence proves that Warden Lagarde is the killer. What? Huh? Is it the bell? Because it was seized by police and she had it all with her.
Take that!
Right? No, okay. This proves you are the killer.
Darling, please, that's your damning evidence. It has nothing to do with me whatsoever. And you know it.
Nah, looks like that wasn't it. This house smell. Okay. Okay, so it's the scent. Okay, never mind. Whatever it was could be the keys in this case.
You're a hoot, Mr. Edgeworth, you really are. But can we dispense with the jokes now?
This is no joke, Warden. You are the killer.
Ugh, really? Well, could you at least try and present some plausible evidence?
Piece of evidence that proves she's the killer is the sweet scent coming from the body. Your scent betrays you, Warden. And here is your accuser. The police dog. We had him track a sweet scent that was lingering around Knight's body back when it was first found. He now appears to be smelling the same scent, and it's coming from you. Oh, darling, you're priceless, really you are. Your evidence is a whiff of suspicion. Verity, dear, do put him in his place.
Gavel's having doubts.
It seems Judge Gavel may have reached a similar conclusion to myself. You believe this to be no mere coincidence, Mr. Edgeworth? I do. After all, she had the key, and the scent for... And the scent found lingering on the body is hers as well. Were it just one or the other, we might be able to brush it off as coincidence. However... Indeed, it seems a conclusion approaches. Perhaps we should hear what the Warden has to say for herself. We should, and when we have... This case will finally be at an end. Good. I need it to end soon. Because my nose is still so much problems today. You're all simply awful. Stop looking at me like that. Me, the killer? How can I possibly do such a thing?
Da-da. I didn't do it.
Verity told me everything she knows about the case, sweetie. The victim died in his cell. So by your logic, I would have had to kill... I would have had to have killed him there. But how am I supposed to have moved the body? Especially as I never went into the prison. I was too busy with work, you see. I was cooped up in my office until right before the show began. Check if you like. You won't find a record of me having entered or left the prison proper. I haven't the first idea what harebrained theories you little scamps have cooked up, but I'm innocent. There's simply no way I could be the killer.
Give me a break. Missile doesn't lie. Don't make it hard on everyone and just come clean.
Oh dear, I'm afraid you are the one making things difficult. As I just said, I never went into the prison. If you think I'm lying, go and check the records.
She clearly wants us to check those records, which means they won't help us. We'll just have to find another way of getting the truth out of her.
Please, Mr. Edgeworth, stop being a big silly.
A big silly.
You've made a boo-boo, and you know it.
You sure about that? Already told me everything she knows about the case.
Judge Gavel told you everything. Are you close? Thick as thieves, darling. Why do you ask? Are you jealous?
Jealous? Of what?
I had to ask Warden Lagarde for a lot of information on our first day of investigation. It seemed only right that I share some information in return. Oh, Verity, you do have to make it sound so awfully dry. I thought we had a lovely chat. I simply shared the truth in our conversation. It was the least I could do.
I'm not sure what's going on, but these two, they're terrifyingly formidable together. Victim died in his cell. You sure about that?
Hold it!
The murder took place in his cell. You seem very happy to accept that. And why shouldn't I be? It seems the most likely place for it to have happened without drawing attention. And besides, they found Knight's blood in his cell.
Yes, but that was from being struck by Mr. Carceredo.
Though I needn't tell her that, I suppose. She was there when we figured it out. I take it there's also been no testimony to the contrary. What does it matter? Knight being killed in his cell doesn't go against any of the facts anyway. How am I supposed to have moved the body?
Hold it!
Do you have any evidence that you didn't enter the prison? Please, darling, let me finish. I was too busy with work, you see. I was cooped up in my office until right before the show began. So you were in your office the whole time, and you didn't notice anything unusual? No, I can't say that I did. And you didn't notice anything missing? I must confess I'm a rather messy girl. And a forgetful one at that. I put something down and it's lost forever. It's a curse, darling, a curse. I even lost some important evidence recently. It was gone. Poof! Just like that.
What? And she still has a job?
Honestly, if someone came into my office and took something, it might be years before I noticed. Nah. Seems like I'll need more than the power room key to expose her. On the day of the murder, I was working in my office. Oh, and looking for something I'd misplaced. Even if I'd had a reason to go into the prison, I simply wouldn't have had the time. Check if you like, you won't find a record anywhere of me having entered the prison. Sure, maybe you didn't go through the main entrance to the prison. But what if you took another route? Oh, come now, sweetie, surely you don't mean that awful, filthy tunnel they discovered. Why, until yesterday I had no idea it even existed. No, you had another way in, I'm certain of it. A route that didn't require going through the main entrance or the tunnel. The route you took went through this location. Here.
Take that!
Her garden. Through the fence. Warden, you took Knight from his cell and brought him to your office, which just happens to be connected to the yard. If you had a way through the fence, then you would have been able to circumvent both the entrance and the tunnel. A gold star for creativity, darling. And how would I have gotten through the fence? The extremely high fence, topped with razor wire, with thousands of volts of electricity going through it? Yeah! How's she supposed to have gotten through that? The fence's electricity can be cut off from the power room. And only you had the key, Warden. No one but you could have done it. Utterly ridiculous. The power room is on the prison side of the yard, which really, when you think about it, is a security concern. What if someone just broke down the door? Warden Lagarde was on the detention center side. How would she even have reached the power room? Exactly, Verity, darling. Well, clever puss. You've dug yourself a real hole now. There is no record of Warden Lagarde having entered the prison proper. Oh, if there is. Then the idea that she could have shut off the fence using the breaker is out of the question. But there must be some way she could have done it. Take a deep breath, big guy. Lose your cool and you've lost everything. But if I don't find a solution, she might still wriggle out of this. Hey, I said take a deep breath, not freak out and completely lose your cool. There's nothing to be gained by banging your head against the same wall, yeah? No matter how you look at it, Warden Lagarde couldn't have done it alone. Mr. Edgeworth, if you cannot find a... You aren't doing yourself any favors by obstructing justice with your silence. That was a reflexive objection, but now that I've yelled it, if I don't come up with an answer, it's all over. I have one more thing to add, if you'll permit me. Something that explains how the warden could have shut off the breaker from the wrong side of the fence? Yes, because it's not as impossible as it seems. What enabled her to shut off the breaker? An accomplice! If she couldn't have done it alone, then she simply did it with someone else. She couldn't have done it alone. But what if she wasn't alone? Ooh, now we're talking. Way to flex the old grey matter, kiddo. I believe that Warden Lagarde had an accomplice. Enough. You disappoint me, Mr. Edgeworth. What do you mean? Mr. Edgeworth has said nothing wrong. The inmates of this prison are all issued with security bracelets. The ones that raise the alarm if people go where they're not supposed to. Ah! I see you have realized your error. And we are, of course, within the prison grounds, where not only are the bracelets worn, but even the guards surveil each other for signs of wrongdoing. And despite all that, no one noticed Mr. Carceredo's escape. The only ones who are free to roam are the animals, and they most certainly could not have operated the breaker. No, so our accomplice must be human. Then who did it, given that it cannot have been a prisoner or a guard? I wouldn't be so quick to rule out either, Your Honor. The fact is, there is one person, someone whose movements weren't restricted. And I have just the evidence to show who that free-roaming person was. Yeah, Mr. Sawat's bracelet.
Take that!
This is one of the prisoner's bracelets? Indeed, a broken bracelet belonging to a certain self-proclaimed model prisoner. What do you mean? And who is this prisoner? Frank Sawat, Warden Lagarde's favorite inmate. Oh, she's nervous now. It's strange, isn't it, Warden? That he was able to keep his broken bracelet hidden and wander freely around the prison all the while. That is pretty funky, and I don't mean it in a good way. Blech. It couldn't be the case that he was permitted some sort of special leeway, could it? Although you are in the habit of giving such leeway to certain others, Bodhidharma Canis, for example. Mr. Edgeworth, that is pure speculation. In that case, why don't we ask Mr. Sawat himself? I'm confident he will confirm for us that he and Warden Lagarde were accomplices in this crime. If the two of them had worked together, a certain route into the prison becomes viable. The real route by which Knight was moved from his cell into the prison proper. Recall that there were two big obstacles in her path. First, the security camera outside Knight's cell. Second, the electrified fence in the yard. But she was able to remove both obstacles in one fell swoop, by having Mr. Sawat shut off the corresponding breakers. Alright, Mr. Edgeworth, you've had your fun. And, do you still deny it, Warden Lagarde? No, darling, you've got me. I admit it. Warden? Tell me this isn't true. Sorry, Verity, honey. I'm afraid it is. Frankie helped me do it.
No way! You did it, Mr. Edgeworth!
I'm just now noticing. Does that show up on the... Oh, I can't tell because it's... Yeah, you can see it right up the top. The sprites don't reach all the way to the top of the screen. Oh no. That's not good.
You did it, Mr. Edgeworth. You got her.
Nice shooting, cowboy. She won't be wriggling out of this now. As Mr. Edgeworth said, I had Frankie switch off the breaker. But we didn't kill Knight, did we? Yeah, no way I'm not sick with how much I'm sneezing right now. Oh well, we're gonna get through this case and then I'm gonna go rest. But we didn't kill Knight, did we? No, Sweetums, no we didn't. What? Warden, explain yourself. Oh, Verity dear, I doubt your precious goddess will want to hear my excuses now. She is all merciful. You have but to confess, and you shall be saved. Oh gosh, all right. I was being threatened. I had no choice but to do as he said.
Who's he?
Bodhidharma Canis, that awful assassin.
Canis?
How long has it been since that awful man came here to my beautiful prison? I'll never forget the day he arrived. The moment we were alone, he said this to me. You should know I have other dogs. Dogs not confined to this fine institution. Others? Yes, very loyal dogs. Dogs who will do anything I ask of them. Of course, he wasn't talking about real dogs. He was talking about his very human cronies. And then he said one last thing. I would recommend that you take care in how you treat me during my stay here. I wouldn't want to have to set my dogs on you, or your precious family. I had no choice. I gave him that cell. I gave him everything he asked for. Everything? Wait, is that how he became the Fixer? Yes, darling. I obeyed his every command, and smuggled in for him all that he wanted. Eventually, I brought dear sweet Frankie into our little conspiracy. He agreed right away, of course, because I made things easier for him, too. So you were smuggling in contraband? How exactly? Once a week, late at night, Frankie would shut off the breakers. That allowed me to go from my office into the yard without being seen by the cameras. Then I simply dropped the packages down the well on the prison side and went back through the fence. Each of them spritz with a little of my perfume. So that's what the sweet smell was. Yes, it was a signal for Canis's dog. When he picked up the scent, he would fetch the packages and bring them back to his master. We had to make sure Rocco wasn't in his cell at the time, of course. Can't have been easy keeping him from finding out. Oh, we're all very much creatures of habit here at the prison, darling. Everything runs on a schedule. Meals, exercise hours, that sort of thing. We knew when he wasn't there. And that adorable little bear of his freezes with fright at the sight of Canis's dog. Poor thing. There was no risk of him raising the alarm either. She has oversight over everything here at the prison, which made her the perfect mule. With her on his side, Canis couldn't fail. Frankie would sneak out again early in the morning to switch the breakers back on, and our work was done. Apart from fixing the time codes on the cameras, which I could do later when I got the chance. You've shared a great deal, Warden. The goddess of justice will surely take your honesty into account. I've been the most dreadful fool, I know I have. I'm supposed to be the one in charge. The day of Knight's murder was also one of our delivery days. And so, Frankie, bless his heart, did his usual work with the breakers. But there was no package for me to deliver that day, so I didn't go out into the yard.
So that's the secret behind the fixer system, and why she was...
The police have been trying to track down his accomplices for the longest time. I've even had to lend them a hand myself, you know. Heavens knows how many times I've hauled the secretive scoundrel to my office to talk to me. But no matter what I say, or how much evidence I present him with, he simply won't say a word.
That's why you were interrogating Mr. Canis over and over.
Exactly. I was trying to track down those horrible hench people of his. I borrowed everything the police had on that rotten scoundrel. I watched his every move, intercepted every letter he wrote.
His letters? Then I suppose she must know about his correspondence chess games, too.
But no matter what I did, I couldn't turn up any clues as to who his underlings were. Living in fear like this, it's... Oh, you just can't comprehend it.
As you have just heard for yourself, Mr. Edgeworth, the words of Warden Lagarde's confession have cleansed her of all suspicion. Surely there is no need to hound her any longer. How? What do you mean? What do you mean it cleared her of all suspicion? Nothing's been cleared. She just told her that she has a... She told them she has a way into the prison. She told them it was a delivery day, so Frank shut off the breakers. She hasn't said a single thing that's proved herself innocent. What the fuck are you talking about? There's definitely more. I'm sorry, Your Honor, but this conversation isn't over yet. And I think the goddess of justice would agree.
So you mean to make her suffer even more than she already has?
Unfortunately, her suffering under Mr. Canis does nothing to prove her innocence in Knight's murder. She admitted herself that she knew of and even facilitated the so-called Fixer's delivery route. I believe she used that same route to move Knight's body.
And where is your evidence, Mr. Edgeworth?
It's in the fact that the sweet smell on Knight's body is the exact same scent Warden Lagarde uses to signal a delivery. What do you make of that?
Well, that's because we've done it so many times by now that the whole world probably smells of it. Some of it must have just rubbed off on his body. That does match the statement that Mr. Carceredo provided.
A smell. Yeah, it always smelled kind of nice down there.
Nice.
Gee, I don't know. Smelled sort of like dessert, I guess.
His words would seem to suggest that the smell had permeated the well.
Ah.
You've been rendered speechless, I see. Then I hereby move to adjourn this session of the court. No! What do we do, Mr. Edgeworth?
What can I do? Is this as far as we go?
Finally! So we're actually done? Yes, Eustace, it seems we are.
By the power vested in me, this court is adjourned.
No!
Hold it? Who's holding it? Who holded it?
Who was that?
Hey! Come on, Judge G.
Things are just getting good.
Things were just getting good.
Fender, are you objecting to my adjourning this session?
No. Would have shouted an objection if I wanted to do that. He's got a point.
You do you, G. Adjourn, don't adjourn. Whatever floats your boat.
What are you doing, Mr. Fender?
Don't worry about what I'm doing. Let's just all take a chill pill, shall we?
By which I mean a square of chocolatey goodness. Anyone?
Are you trying to get yourself charged with contempt of court?
No, my bad. Just had a quick request to make is all.
As Simeon Saint's lawyer, that is. Ah, yes, I had forgotten you were his real attorney, Mr. Fender.
How could you? You're killing me here. Can you blame us? You've been making Mr. Edgeworth do everything this whole time.
Right, you are, which is why I figured it's time to put in some work. Work, you say? Somehow I don't believe you've worked a single day in your life. Rude! He was an accomplished attorney prior to Edgeworth getting here, you know. Let's say this is me doing some prep work for the upcoming trial. Mind if I question the witness? Now, amusing, but what is there left to ask? I got a feeling in my funny bone that Fief's here has something more to tell us about the killer. Do I? Yes, indeed. See, as a major player on Team Simeon, I can spot a sympathizer when I see one. And you don't think he did it, do you? So tell us, who did? Come on, spill the beans. We're all ears.
Mr. Edgeworth, what's he doing?
He's trying to coax Warden Lagarde into giving something away. Ask yourself, why would she go through all the trouble of sending Knight's body on such an odd journey? It's because she wanted to frame Mr. Canis.
She did? No way!
If he was convicted of committing murder here, that could have been grounds for a transfer to another prison. Most likely a more secure facility.
And where he'd be out of her hair forever, huh? Huh.
Precisely. She saw her opportunity and seized it.
No. Saint can't not be the killer. That's not fair. I was all ready to prosecute him.
I know, right? But maybe we should find out what she thinks first. Don't want to get the wrong guy, yeah?
Heh, nice. Now Mr. Winner has to go along with it too.
Well, Warden, are you happy to testify further? Of course! How could I refuse this silver-tongued devil? Eddykins, you have such a way with words. Just doing my job, thief. Besides, one can't tell the truth without telling the whole truth, can one? You literally can. It's called lying by omission. Well, then I guess it's not telling the truth now, is it? Because it is technically a lie, even if you've only told truths. Interesting how that works, huh? I'm simply dying to tell all, Verity darling. Do say you'll let me. As you wish. Court is unadjourned.
I can't believe you pulled that off, Mr. Fender.
Phew, me neither. Thank you for the timely intervention. Hey, it's the least I can do. Kay's not wrong. I've been leaning on you hard. And besides, the defense never rests. Am I right? Simeon's depending on us. Why did they have to spell out? I know he uses slang, right? But that's like specifically, I feel like that's like writing it out. They're pronounced the same way regardless. So why is it being spelled like that? Simeon's depending on us. Sadly, I think I just about exhausted my reserves of cool lawyer chat there. We can't found this up now. Which means you're up to bat, Miles McSmiles. Show him that never rest spirit. I shall. Fabulous, then let's get started. Da. Testimony. My truth. Okay, so it's not final testimony time, but it is intense testimony time. I can tell by the music. I really don't think anyone could have done it, but that dreadful man Canis. There's no telling what went on between him and the victim. Perhaps he simply took a disliking to him. He's certainly the type. But whatever's the sordid details, it was him. He stabbed the poor man to death. And then he had his dog dispose of the body. That simply has to be what happened. The victim, Mr. Knight, yes? I did him the most terrible disservice. Yes, you killed him. I suppose you could put it that way. If I weren't such a sorry excuse for a warden, this would never have happened. And that's why I have to clean up this terrible mess. Warden Lagarde, as ever, your honesty is truly to your credit. I am certain Mr. Knight is looking down and weeping tears of gratitude. You've clearly never met Mr. Knight.
Rebuttal time. Okay, let's press on all of them because I don't know what we need to present.
You seem very confident in your assertion. Why is that? Because all the other children in my little home are absolute sweethearts. They have faith in themselves and in one another. They have faith in the guards, in me. And they work hard every day to better themselves. None of them would dare commit murder.
It's a very touching reason indeed, and I don't believe a word of it.
But Canis? Oh, he's rotten to the core. He's the only one who would do something like that. There's no telling what went on between him and the victim.
Hold it!
Knight was being kept in a holding cell while Mr. Canis was in the prison proper. What could possibly have happened between them when they were at opposite ends of the facility? Prisons aren't as big as they seem, you know. All kinds of awful things can happen. But Knight only arrived 2 days before he was murdered. I can't imagine anything significant happening in that short space of time. Then you don't know Canis, my dear. He'd find a way, I'm sure of it.
Okay. Perhaps simply took a disliking to him.
How could he take a disliking to somebody all the way over in the holding cells? Oh, I'm just plucking possibilities out of the air, darling. As I said, there's no telling what really went on between them. You're so awfully serious, aren't you? Not that I mind, of course. Why is she looking at me like that? So noble, so dashing in that marvelous suit, so clever. I can feel myself becoming your biggest fan, darling. I really can.
I'm afraid someone else has already claimed that title.
No!
Stay with me, Mr. Edgeworth.
No.
I wasn't prepared for that mental onslaught. He stabbed that poor man to death.
What more can you tell us about those sordid details? Well, we all know what Canis once did for a living. I doubt the killing part gave him much trouble. Especially as the victim was already injured. His neck, I think? Couldn't turn his head to the right, poor dear. That's what they told me when they brought him in, anyway. Must make some sort of report for the warden when new prisoners are admitted. You seem keen for us to think you didn't know much about Knight. That's because I didn't, sweetie. And the victim was simply a target of that monster. A fun target to that monster. Nothing more. I expect Canis used the chisel that was hidden in that chess set, don't you? Awfully grisly business. Just imagine, the man probably didn't even have time to cry out. I see. Thank you for your thoughts. They were very helpful. Actually, I'd like to hear about them in a little more detail, if you don't mind. Oh, Mr. Edgeworth, you're making me blush. I could chat with you all day. Oh, don't look so nervous, darling. I'm only teasing. Of course, we can talk about them some more. Expect Canis used the chisel that was hidden in that... So, how... Was she there when we discovered it? To prevent it from being found by prison staff.
Objection!
How the fuck did you know about it then?
Warden Lagarde, you strike me as being more careful than the image you project suggests. Oh, Mr. Edgeworth, please, call me Fifi. Or Sweetie Pie, if you prefer. However, I think you may have been a little less careful than you realize in this instance.
Teehee. Aren't you just the most adorable little creature? Don't be embarrassed. We're all family here.
No!
Come on, Mr. Edgeworth. Don't let her get inside your head.
You said earlier you didn't know much about Mr. Knight. In which case I find it rather strange that you know about the chisel.
Well, of course I do, darling. Do you think we don't check prisoners when they come in?
Objection!
You're not talking your way out of this, Warden. That is entirely irrelevant, and you know it. Knight didn't bring the chess set into the prison himself. It was brought by Mr. Saint when he came to visit. Knight wouldn't have had it with him when he arrived.
What? I mean, of course that... when Mr. Saint came in, we...
Objection!
You checked him? I find that hard to believe, because if you did, that makes your story all the stranger. You found the chisel. If you found the chisel, why did you not confiscate it then and there? There and then. Judge Cavell, did you tell anyone about the hidden compartment in the chess set?
I did not.
If no one leaked our findings, then how exactly did you learn about the chisel, Warden Lagarde? I guess she wasn't there when we figured it out. She's been around for a bunch of scenes, so I didn't remember which scene she was part of. Because it certainly couldn't have been when you checked Mr. Knight or Mr. Saint on their arrival.
Indeed, such a thing would imply an intentional oversight if it had been found, yet let through.
Precisely. So, Warden Lagarde, and answer truthfully this time. Where and when did you learn about the chess set? If you won't answer me, then I submit that you...
All right, darling. There's no need to rub it in. You got me all right. I questioned Knight. That was when I learned about the chess set. But please, you have to believe me. I did not kill him.
One moment, Warden. This is a significant development.
The court requests that you make a detailed statement on the record. Any objections, Mr. Edgeworth?
None, Your Honor.
Thank you. Darlings, I'll clear up this awful misunderstanding, I promise.
Very well. Go ahead, Warden Lagarde. And please, tell the truth this time. Her lies are starting to wear thin. This is my chance to expose her. Is this final testimony time? You can tell by the music. My Truth Part 2. No, this is still just intense normal testimony, I'm pretty sure.
I said I questioned Knight, but it wasn't anything serious, you understand. I make a point of talking to every newcomer to our little home. Knight was no different. We just had a little chat, you might call it. And after we talked, I had him taken back to his cell straight away.
The more she lies, the more thoroughly she seals her fate.
So it was simply a conversation with a new detainee. That seems entirely above board. Exactly, Verity, darling. I knew you'd understand.
Objection!
Well, I don't. What proof do you have to back up your statement?
I suppose we shall see, won't we, Mr. Edgeworth? You may begin your cross-examination.
Alright. Question 9 wasn't anything serious. So am I right in assuming that you talked to Knight the night before the show?
Exactly, darling. It would have been, around 3 a.m. on the 27th.
3 a.m.? That falls squarely within the window of time laid out in the autopsy report. Seems rather late for a friendly chat. Wouldn't he have been asleep?
Normally, yes, but if you remember, a guard was attacked in his cell. We had to examine the scene of the crime, gather information. These things take time, sweetie.
I assure you he was wide awake. We all were. Regardless, I find it somewhat odd that you would choose to question him at such a late hour. Oh, you're such a tease, aren't you? Anyway, no matter how odd you think it is, I had him brought to me, and that's what happened. Must you really insist on questioning every last thing I say?
Sorry, Fiefs. He's like a dog with a bone sometimes. I'll be sure to scold him once we're done.
Though, would you mind giving us a little more info? Like, where you had him brought to? My office, of course. Where else?
Your office, which is where we believe the body was moved from. Would you mind appending what you just said to your testimony?
Teehee. Anything for you, darling.
Around 3 a.m. the night before the show, I had them bring him to my office.
Hold it!
Remind me where your office is. You've seen the sign on the detention center corridor, I imagine.
The one that says no entry?
That's it, sweetie. My office is just up there. Just up in there. A short walk from the holding cells. I understand that you also have access to the yard. Why, of course. That's where my gorgeous little garden is. Oh, I see where you're going with this. You're saying that's how I moved the body. You had the means and the opportunity. It's hardly impossible. Hardly impossible proves nothing. You have no evidence for this assertion.
Objection!
There is no other way that the body could have been moved. Surely you haven't forgotten that it was Mr. Saint who dropped Mr. Knight's body down the well.
Yeah, what she said. You're miles off, Edgeworth.
I love Eustace's wordplay. No, I probably shouldn't push this any further for now. So I feel like we're probably supposed to present there, but just in case, I'll press everywhere else first. What did you and Knight speak about?
Oh, nothing much. Just some small talk, really. I asked him about what animals he liked, what his hobbies were.
His hobbies? Then I imagine you talked about chess.
Oh, yes, I couldn't stop him talking about it, in fact. Even had a piece of paper covered with little notes about it in his cell. At least, I think that's what they were about.
So she's seen Knight's correspondence chess diagram. That was no different, we just had a little chat.
How was he when you spoke with him? Oh, he was so open and honest, darling.
What? That guy? Honest?
He was talking about one croissant and promoting a prawn. I suppose he must have been hungry.
En passant and promoting a porn. Seems he spared no one from his obsession with chess.
And after we talked, I had him taken back to his cell straight away. If he really had gone back to his cell, he would still be alive today. You really think I murdered the poor man right there in my office, don't you? But what would my motive have been, darling? I told you I barely knew him. I'm no angel. I have my grudges against Canis. But Knight had nothing to do with that animal.
She really does hate Canis. Warden Lagarde, I must insist that you append that statement to your testimony. Okay, this is the one we present on. Because we know that he did have a connection. No angel, I have my grudges against Canis, but Knight had nothing to do with that animal. Yes, he did, because he was playing correspondence chess against him.
Objection!
Da 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 da.
Judge Gaval, I'd like you to take a look at this. Notes about a game of chess. What is the significance of this, Mr. Edgeworth? It was found in Knight's cell, which is exactly where you said you saw it too, Warden Lagarde. But you didn't just see this game in Knight's cell, did you? You've seen it in Mr. Canis' cell too. What do you mean?
Objection!
Oh, come now, don't tell me you haven't taken a look at the chessboard in maximum security. I imagine you watch his every move like a hawk. Or rather, I imagine you feel that doing so is your only option.
If she wants to find out who his cronies are, right?
Personally, interrogating your own prisoners is highly irregular to say the least. But as you said, Mr. Cadus had threatened you. He put your precious home at risk. That's why you took it upon yourself to question him. You wanted to find out who his dogs were.
And so what if I did?
You also told us you read his letters, which means you must have known about one key fact. You knew he was playing correspondence chess. And then who should appear but Knight, carrying with him a diagram of a very particular game. We ourselves used that diagram to infer a connection between the two men. And it seems you came to the same conclusion. But in your fear, you took your reasoning one step further. You surmised that Knight was Mr. Cadus's henchman sent to kill you. Which is the real reason she had a chat with the Bronxster. If his boss wouldn't crack, maybe he would. And when you questioned Knight, you made another discovery. For there inside his chess set, you found a hidden chisel.
The murder weapon itself.
As far as you were concerned, that chisel meant one thing: Cadus. Thus, you convinced yourself that Knight was working for Cadus, and that is why you killed him. I see you have no more excuses. Judge Gavel, your verdict, please.
Much as it grieves me, there would appear to be little room for doubt. I hereby give my verdict. Bronco Knight was murdered by... In the name of the goddess of justice, who is it this time?
Warden?
It's a joke. It's all a big, stupid joke. You people just don't get it, do you?
I think we've proven that it's you who didn't understand things correctly.
Me? Please, darling. I understand it all perfectly well, thank you very much. Speed! And I understand that there's a glaring contradiction in your theory, Mr. Edgeworth. Speed!
You're just grasping at straws now. I have no time for this. Your Honor, the verdict.
I am curious to hear what the warden has to say.
What?
You're a dull Verity. I just have one last thing to say. Then Mr. Edgeworth can declare himself the winner. You rang? Does anybody remember a certain autopsy report? Of course, we received the finalized version only this morning. That's right, and I was listening to what you told us about it, Verity, even if nobody else was. You said the wound was 4 inches deep. 4 inches?
Wait.
Riddle me this, Mr. Edgeworth. How does a tiny chisel make a 4-inch wound? No! Forgive me, O goddess. I came perilously close to making a terrible mistake. It looks like your theory is the one that doesn't hold water, Edgeworth. What now, What do we do?
It'll be fine. Mr. Edgeworth always comes through, right, sir? Looks to me like Miles of Tron's out of commission. You're an attorney too, aren't you? Why don't you do something? Turn things on their head with a desperate bluff. Blurt out the first mind-blowing thing that comes to you.
He's not Phoenix, Gumshoe. That's Phoenix's tactic.
Look, Detective, I'm as much of a man of action. Look, Detective, I'm as much of a man of action as the next guy. But without evidence, we're up a creek without a paddle here. This might be the end of the road.
We can't give up now. We have to do something.
Think, Edgeworth. Logic time. I'm certain that one Magard is the killer. It's the only explanation that fits the facts of the case. But if the chisel wasn't the murder weapon, what other bladed weapon is here in this facility?
It seems we still do not have all the answers, nor the evidence to provide those answers.
Alas, we must wait until the trial to see this matter resolved, I'm afraid.
Objection!
Hey! Oh, come on, G. You're just giving the killer a chance to destroy the evidence.
Are you calling the judicial process into question, Mr. Fender?
No, not me. Nuh-uh. I tried, Miles. Any bright ideas?
What is the real murder weapon, since it's clearly not the chisel? Confound it, this question throws everything we've deduced out the window. Nothing to add, Mr. Edgeworth? Allow me to remind you that claims not supported by sufficient evidence are subject to the harshest penalties.
Think, Edgeworth. Logic time. Do the logic thing.
It's hopeless. I can't think of anything. I need more time. Loath as I am to admit it,
Hold it.
You can't give up now. Remember what Mr. Fender said. Simeon's counting on us. Without us, he's... Remember how upset he was? He was devastated. Nobody's in more pain than him over Mr. Knight's death. There's no way he did it. But if we can't save him, who will? And what's more, he believes in us. He's sitting in that cell waiting for us to bring him some good news. And I, for one, won't walk away until we have some.
Okay. Gee, Miles. Your little buddy there's quite the motivational speaker. And she's right, too. When you find yourself on the ropes, think of your client. Picture them pleading with you to help them. Doesn't that make you want to fight back as hard as you can until the very end? Think of your old man. Good old Gregory. No matter how bad things looked, he'd always find a way to turn it around and save his client. I am just now noticing a detail about Fender's design. That despite how many times I watched people play the fan translation, I did not notice. And I'm going to bring it up when we get to the next case, because it's not relevant until then. And you're just like him, right? If there's any way to force a turnabout here, you're the one who'll find it. Simeon's counting on you. Judge Gavelle.
You seem to have recovered your composure, Mr. Edgeworth. But if you mean to attempt a defense, I would advise you to consider the ramifications. You have repeatedly proposed misguided theories and made numerous false accusations. If you do so again, I will have no choice but to judge you unfit to serve as a prosecutor, and relieve you of your badge for good.
She's right. I have put forward a number of theories that prove to be flawed in one way or another. Have I made some sort of fundamental oversight? Wait, she said my theories were misguided.
Nothing to say? Then the court will tolerate no more of your time wasting. I hereby...
Sir!
Mr. Edgeworth! Give my verdict. That's it, I've been thinking about out the wrong way all this time.
There's a fucking pile of tissue sitting on my desk that I'm gonna have to throw out after the stream. Think about this the wrong way all this time. My theories weren't misguided. I was being misled.
The defendant, Simeon Saint.
Objection. I think it's a little soon for that, Your Honor.
I'd say it's well past due, darling. Don't you agree, Verity? Mr. Edgeworth? You may proceed.
What?
I'd like to remind you of a few things. The sighting of his dog, Helmut. The fact that he wasn't at the show. These and other factors made Mr. Canis the obvious suspect at first. This, again, Mr. Edgeworth, You seem almost proud of your blunder.
Hold it!
But what if the real killer wanted us to suspect Mr. Canis? What if it was all carefully arranged? And what if the same was true of the chisel, our purported murder weapon? Knight had been stabbed multiple times in the same place with a bladed instrument. What if he was stabbed with a chisel after the real murder weapon had been removed? Just to leave traces of blood on it for us to find. That was how the killer misled us into thinking the chisel is the murder weapon. But why mislead us in this way? Why indeed? Why make us think the chisel is the murder weapon rather than what was really used? In order to get Canis transferred. Warden, you took advantage of what the chisel seemed to suggest. What it suggested? What are you talking about, darling?
Hold it!
Mr. Winner, if I were to tell you the murder weapon was a chisel, what would you think? Huh? That Mr. Canis is the killer? And there you have it. That was the trap the warden set for us.
Oh, Mr. Canis has a bunch of chisels, so she wanted us to think it was one of his, right?
Indeed, that was her plan right from the start. To frame Bodhidharma Canis. Your reasoning would appear to be sound. Warden Lagarde certainly seems to harbor a deep, abiding hatred for Mr. Canis. However, I think you know what I am going to say next. That alone is not sufficient proof that Warden Lagarde is the killer. I knew that wouldn't be enough. There's only one thing that will prove it. The real murder weapon that we now know must exist. If you cannot prove your theory, then this conversation ends here.
Objection!
If we could just find the real murder weapon.
Objection!
How many times do we have to go over this? We searched the prison from top to bottom.
Eustace is quite correct. No other possible murder weapon has been found, so I'm afraid you're at a bit of an impasse.
Objection!
I can still prove my case yet, Your Honor, because it's still here inside this prison. This would have made sure of that.
The security gate.
Is it logic time yet? I know there's a logic time right at the end, I'm pretty sure. I'm glad you at least remembered what it is. And do you remember what it does?
Of course I do, I'm not an idiot. The security gate detects metal. Which means you can't bring anything metal into the prison. Or take it out.
Oh! Precisely. If there is another murder weapon, it cannot have been taken out of the premises. But nor can it have been brought into the prison in the first place. And so we find ourselves right back where we began. Judge Gavell, what I am trying to tell you, Mr. Edgeworth, is that if you wish me to believe there is another murder weapon here in the prison, you will also have to explain to me how it got here. Alright. We know that the chisel was smuggled into the prison inside a pocket chess set, but our contention is that the chisel is not the real murder weapon. So if the weapon came from outside the facility, then there must have been a way to bring it in. Yes, the question of the hour is, can you show me this alternate route? How did the weapon Warden Lagarde use to get into the prison? You borrowed evidence from the police to help with your investigation, is that correct? Why, yes, sweetie. Everything related to Canis is with me now. Heaven knows how many times I've hauled the secretive scoundrel into my office to talk to me. Of course, that's how. The fact that this is here with us shows how a bladed object could have been brought into the facility as well. The bell!
Take that!
It's bell time. Allow me to remind you of our conversation with Mr. Canis yesterday. Yes, it was but one of my bells. One of only two in existence. Just two. Two and only two. One for my knife, and one for my beloved helmet. Exquisitely crafted, utterly unique. My ears are my guide, after all, and I must be able to use my tools precisely. Of course, as you said, the knife has long since been taken from me. So you see, there is a way for objects to be brought into the prison unscrutinized, as part of the evidence that Warden Lagarde borrowed from the police.
What?
Mr. Canis's knife was part of the evidence in the case against him.
Edgeworth's pursuit themes are so heckin' good. Mr. Canis's knife was part of the evidence in the case against him, and that evidence was here in the prison. Not only that, but the knife had a certain bell attached to it.
The bell that was attached to the chisel.
Correct. The killer took the bell from the knife and attached it to the chisel.
But that can't be right. The chisel only had Mr. Knight's fingerprints on it.
Easy enough to explain if the killer wore gloves. She made it look as if the chisel was the murder weapon, then attached the bell to it. In doing so, she made sure all the evidence pointed towards Mr. Canis. And who had access to the evidence from which the bell was taken? Why, only the person to whom it had been entrusted. Who was it, sir? Who's been messing with the evidence?
I believe that would be you. Isn't it correct, Warden Lagarde?
Hold it.
The bells aren't exactly rare, you know. Anyone could have set that up.
Objection!
Unluckily for you, that isn't quite true. These particular bells are unique, because there are only 2 of them in existence.
What?
By attaching that bell to the chisel, you as good as declared yourself the killer.
But you don't have any proof that the knife was ever here to begin with.
Hold it!
I don't. Not yet, anyway. Mr. Winner, I'd like you to order another search of the prison right away.
Huh? But if you do find something, that's going to make things awkward for me.
This isn't about what's convenient for you. We have to find the truth. You're a prosecutor, aren't you?
Well, yeah, but, you know. This worthless excuse for a prosecutor. If I had investigative authority, I wouldn't be sitting on it.
Anyhow, it's not my decision to make. The warden would have to authorize it.
You know full well that she will do no such thing. You have the power to insist on a search. Use it.
Sorry, darling, but not without that evidence. The goddess of justice cannot bestow her blessings on those who lack proper proof to support their claims. Our work here is done. The rest of this matter will be settled in the courtroom.
Is it logic time?
No, if we give Lagarde the opportunity, she'll destroy whatever evidence is left. I have to object. I have to stop them. But what do I say? I don't have anything concrete to offer. What am I thinking? I'm never this reckless. No, I can't back down now. I've got to put everything on the line. I'm not a prosecutor right now. I am an associate attorney with a client to defend. Only I can save Mr. Saint, and that means... even if my chances are 1,000,000 to 1, it's still worth a shot. It's now or never. Should I object? Naturally. There are almost no moments in the series where it asks you, should I raise an objection? And you say no. I suppose this must be how a certain serial bluffer always feels. The man in blue. Regardless, I cannot walk away.
Objection!
Wait, Your Honor. This had better be good, Mr. Edgeworth. I've got it. Got what exactly? The real murder weapon, of course. I know where Mr. Canis's knife is. Why did we go back to his objection theme instead of the pursuit theme?
Do you really, Mr. Edgeworth?
I do. Not at all. If I did not know better, I would say you are bluffing. Huh, you wound me, Your Honor. I don't know the meaning of the word. This is terrible for my heart. There's no way you could... It's not here, I tell you. Well, would you be so kind as to enlighten us? Where is the real murder weapon? Think, Miles, think. Somewhere not even the police would search. A blind spot in this zoo. A hiding place that the warden could be absolutely sure of. Hmm? A hiding place? No. If you insist, come on, Helmut. Open up. Did she use the same trick? No, that's ridiculous, isn't it? Okay, maybe it's not a logic time. Maybe they just straight up give it to you. But the more I think about it, how many foolproof ways to evade detection could there be? Mr. Edgeworth, how long do you intend to keep us waiting? There's the faintest possibility I'm right, but if I'm wrong, we stand to lose everything. Your Honor, this is where the real murder weapon is hidden. In the pond.
Take that!
Here, in the yard. Okay, we just had to signal out the yard, okay. Indeed. I don't believe I understand. Would you care to explain a little more? Where exactly is the real murder weapon hidden?
It's over here in the alligator. Remember the metal detector?
Of course, that's what it must have been. Huh? What's the matter, detective?
It's the metal detector, sir. It's reacting to the alligator.
What? How?
The metal detector was reacting to something inside her after all. Your Honor, I'd like to remind you of this piece of evidence. The chisel. Didn't we just figure out that it isn't the murder weapon? You might recall that Mr. Canis hid his chisel in his dog's mouth. Would you believe that the real murder weapon was hidden in much the same way? That's right. The murder weapon is inside the alligator in that pond over there.
What?
No way! We detected the presence of a metallic object during our early investigation. Judge Gavelle, we need to know what's inside that alligator. Understood. Then we will need to summon a veterinarian.
I'm sure I could get the little sweetie to open up for us. I'd be happy to give it a try.
Please, by all means.
She didn't even do anything. She just stood there and it opened up.
Warden the guard, the real murder weapon is about to be revealed. Why not do the right thing and confess? I have nothing to confess. As you wish. Then you can simply wait as your lies are exposed.
Yeah. Sir, we got it.
This has to be it.
It's over, Fifi Lagarde. The real murder weapon was Bodhidharma Canis' knife, making you the only person who could have killed Bronco Knight. I'm not the criminal here. This is all Canis' doing. I did the right thing. Knight was a threat. He was Canis' lapdog. Curse that despicable man, Canis. Why did he have to come and ruin my perfect little home? We could have been happy forever if it wasn't for him. He ruined my paradise on earth. He ruined everything. Curse him. Curse that pitiless butcher. That awful, terrible, despicable man. Curse him.
Breakdown. As it turns out, her code is just a bunch of foxes. We win! March 29th, 12:34 p.m. 1, 2, 3, 4. Detention center corridor. Thwinner. Prosecutor Thwinner, sir. The results have just come back. Thwinner? I guess we've all been under a lot of stress. Traces of Bronco Knight's blood were found on Mr. Cadis's knife. It's just like you said, sir. Congratulations on a stunning victory. Thank you, officer. Excellent work. You can continue complimenting me if you'd like. Yes, sir. Thwinner wins again. I think I'm welling up a little. With rage?
Excellent work, Eustace. Just a few loose ends to tie up and we're done.
Huh? What are you talking about? I just solved the case, didn't I?
We have yet to confirm whether or not Knight really was working for Mr. Canis. It will be vital to know if Warden Lagarde was simply jumping to conclusions on that front.
Huh? Huh? There's Clueless, and then there's you. Stus. That was so dumb, I'm sorry. Well, then I guess we'd better get back to our investigation. Alright, officer, you're with me. You're about to see the winner win a whole lot more. Prepare to witness first-rate investigative talent in action. Yes, sir, I'm right with you, sir. Can't wait to watch you at work. It's winning time! My favorite part of Ace Attorney Investigations 2 was when Eustace Winner jumped out and said, "It's winning time," and then won all over everyone. It's so stupid, but it's... Off he goes.
I expect this case will cause quite a stir. The attempted murder of a president is news enough, and now his would-be assassin has been murdered. But Knight never sought to kill the president in the first place. The truth is not always as important as it might seem, Mr. Edgeworth. In the eyes of both society and the law.
How can you even say that?
You do not have to believe me. However, as a prosecutor, Mr. Edgeworth is obliged to accept that this is the reality of the world he operates in. Being a prosecutor is about more than proving people guilty. That's what I believe. We are all free to believe as we choose, but the law is not to be toyed with for our own personal goals. If you refuse to accept this, then you must prepare to suffer the consequences.
What does that even mean? Wait, you're not gonna take us...
I'm afraid I must be going now. Farewell, Mr. Edgeworth.
Judge Cavell is right. There must be only one set of laws for everyone. But if following the law means sacrificing the truth, can I really do that in good conscience? There's Simeon.
Simeon, you're out.
Hi, Regina. Had to remember what his voice was for a sec.
Is everything all right? They did let you out, right?
Yeah. But I'm so confused about what's going on. Some guy just came and said I was free to go. And then I have Mr. Edgeworth to thank.
You sure do. Mr. Edgeworth found out who the real killer is.
Wow, really? You did that for me, Mr. Edgeworth? Oh no. No. Stop staring at me like that. I'm innocent, I swear. Don't pull the rug out from under me now.
Stop it, silly. It's true. He saved you. So say thanks already.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Edgeworth. Thank you.
And a great big Regina Berry thank you from me, too.
Mr. Saint talking directly to me? Small victories, I suppose.
Can I ask one question, Mr. Attorney?
Sure. I'm not actually an attorney, though.
I thought Bronco was my friend. No, my best friend. I trusted him. But now... Well, it's just... I never knew. I never would have believed that he could hate somebody enough to want to kill them. If he kept something like that from me, then he never really trusted me, did he?
This is going to destroy my throat. Why did I give him a fucking Shaggy voice?
That's not true, Simeon. Of course he trusted you. No, he didn't. If he just told me, I could have stopped him. I could have told him that hate never helps. That he had to let go of all that stuff.
Mr. Saint, I think you're forgetting something. I should show him the thing that proves Knight trusted him. I think it's the chess ball, the pocket chess set.
It's the chess set I brought for him.
Knight had hidden a chisel inside. I imagine he meant to use it to escape.
What? You mean he was using me?
No, he believed in you. He knew he could count on you to bring it, and that you would never be so untrusting as to look inside. I imagine that by not telling you, he was hoping he could keep you from getting caught up in his mess.
Oh, Bronco, why didn't you tell me? At least you understand now, right, Simeon? I'm sure he does. He may not show it, but Simeon's no dummy. A good night's sleep and he'll be completely over this whole thing by tomorrow.
That's not as complimentary as you think it is. Sniffle.
I'll try. I have to, for Bronco. I have to show him that I can become the best animal tamer out there.
That's the spirit.
Oh, I almost forgot. We're doing a new show soon. I'd love it if you could come too, Mr. Ridgeworth.
The one, the only, the very big circus is back.
I'll be joining Regina on stage for this one. That's right. The Very Big Circus is the biggest, most fabulous event in town. You'll have oodles of fun. Sounds great, doesn't it, Mr. Edgeworth? Come on, we have to go.
Well, I'll think about it.
All right, Simeon, we've got some training to do. I think it's time you and Regina got acquainted. What? Regina the tiger? No way, I can't. No. Oh, you'll be fine, silly. You'll never meet a nicer kitty cat. I can't.
And off he goes.
Please, Regina, anything but that, please.
Another satisfied customer. Clap. Well, that was really something, Smiles. Talk about pulling it out of the bag. I couldn't have done it without you, Fender. Without your timely intervention, she would have gotten away. Besides, I have you to thank for even being able to investigate the case in the first place. Oh, stop it. Pat me on the back any harder and you're gonna make me blush. Or topple over. Then I suppose it would be asking too much for you to take this seriously. Seriously? Miles, my friend, I'm always serious. Anyway, how does it feel to save an innocent client? That's what it means to be an attorney, after all. To be an attorney. Gotta say, I had a blast. Reminded me of the good old days. Like Gregory was standing there right beside me. It's been like a zillion years since I've felt this warm and fuzzy on the job. That's good? Bittersweet? I'm not sure. Say, Miles,
You ever thought about going into the defense game full time? Excuse me? You know, pick up where Gregory left off. Get out there and actually help people. Hey pal, don't get any big ideas. Mr. Edgeworth ain't about to switch sides. Why not? Coming over to the light side's all the rage. Everybody's doing it these days.
Come on, Mr. Fender, you know it's not about that.
Chill, team, chill. Don't get it twisted. I was just asking a perfectly innocent question.
No, you weren't.
The heck you were. It looks like you've got a mean defense team there yourself, Miles. Fender, I am a prosecutor. Yep, and I'm an attorney. You could be one too. I'm serious. Well, I've said my piece. You change your mind, you know who to call. I'll be waiting. Bye, Fender. Follow in my father's footsteps. Could I really do such a thing? I was going to become a defense attorney. Oh.
I'm going to become a defense attorney just like my dad.
There he is. Oh, now I can point it out. Ray's hat that he's wearing all the time, it's the same hat that Edgeworth's dad wears, and I never fucking noticed until now. Oh, he was speaking still. Oops. We missed that. Oh well. Well, that's the end of that. I'm hungry. It's almost 1. I need food. Turnabout Legacy. That will be saved for next time. Because I'm hungry. I want food. And I want to throw all these fucking tissues away. That is going to be all from me today. Thank you for joining. We went a little over time. But we also just went late because I started late. So my next stream, assuming I'm not, like, sick, my next stream will be next week, Saturday, where we'll probably just be playing more Ace Attorney unless I am, like, so brain dead that I don't want to play it, like yesterday, in which case I'll figure something out. When's the... Oh yeah, oh wait, no. Time zones. I don't know whether the Hollow Cure update would have dropped then. We could play that. Let's have a look who's online. Don't want to ramble too much. Nico's online. Oh, Graham's online. Yeah, let's raid Graham. Been a while. Da da da. Also, I am, like, after today, I'm probably just gonna start asking friends if they want to participate in the next Ace Attorney quiz, just so I can get things rolling and try to get it done this month, because, like, so I feel like things are going to get a bit more, like, difficult to schedule and stuff, during, like, the Christmas period, maybe. So yeah. Graham is currently playing Power World. I'm not particularly fond of the game, but I know other people like it. And yeah, that's gonna be it from me. Thanks for watching. Otsukame. Bye bye and scene.